Hey there, Shrine Runners! Hello, and welcome to the Fox Shrine. I'm Araxis, your host, and tonight we're going to be playing some more Gundog. Hey there, Ada. Hey, Meta. Welcome. Hope you're all doing alright. I'm doing pretty good, and really excited for some more Gundog. Last time, we had a whole lot of excitement in this, so we're sort of going around the ship now, collecting ourselves. I feel like we're probably coming up on the end, so who knows, maybe this is going to be the final stream of it, or the penultimate, I don't know. Yeah. Hopefully we've got enough for a full stream, and let's get into it, shall we? Alrighty then, let's go. Now, as per usual, do let me know if there are any issues with the audio or anything like that. And let's go! Alright, so we're up to chapter 7. Let's go. And we're headed into the sick bay, that's right. I'm gonna go and properly thank Hanson, our grumpy comrade, who we have been beefing with for years. Alright. Even before the elevator's doors open, your hand is raised to preempt the harsh brightness of the sick bay's lighting. The powerful aroma of disinfectant wafts into the elevator as the doors slide open, and the light shines brightly through the widening gap. Accustomed to both these features of the sick bay, you're no longer bothered by them. As always, everything appears in order, but you quickly notice that the doctor isn't at his desk. Looking over to the left of the room, you see a light illuminated above the doorway leading to the surgery wing, with its large gallery window having taken on a frosted effect, obscuring the view of the inside beyond some vague shapes. The doctor had been able to patch you up pretty quickly, leaving Hanson to wait for the necessary procedure that now seemed to be underway. Looking back to the beds, you see Cassie tossing and turning uncomfortably. She'd been fast asleep when you and Hanson were brought in, to the point where you wondered if she'd been sedated. But now, she was fidgeting and groaning, appearing in genuine discomfort. Cassie? Cassie, is everything alright? You lay your hand on her shoulder and take her hand in yours. Hey, Cassie, can you hear me? What's wrong? Oh, it's you, Araxis. How was the mission? Did everything... As she lets out a scream, Cassie yanks her hand away from yours, bringing it up to her head and using it alongside her free hand, as if trying to hold her head together. Completely overtaken by pain, Cassie thrashes around on the bed. It's all you can do to stop her from throwing herself off it. Hey, Cassie, it's alright. It's gonna be okay. You look around in a panic, unsure of what to do. Your first instinct is to get Dr. Rosarian, but as he's in the middle of a surgical procedure, you don't think he'd be able to drop everything just to come to Cassie. Cassie, did the doctor leave you anything? Any instructions? Any tablets? Cassie, come on! Anything! Pills! On the counter! Without a moment's hesitation, you dash over to the countertop where you can see a half-spent blister of tablets atop a box of more of the same. You grab a nearby small glass, fill it with water from the hand-washing station, and then take it and the tablets over to Cassie. Hey, Cassie! Cassie! Wake up and take these! Come on! You slide your arm under Cassie's back and gently bring her to an upright position, keeping your arm in place to prop her up. Oh. Hey, honey. I was... These are the tablets you mentioned. right? Sandra, still in a daze, blinks at the glass of water and pills that you hold up to her, slowly reaching out to take the glass and then some tablets. Oh, yeah, the doctor said that helped the headaches. Dreamily, she places 2 in her mouth and you help her with the glass of water. She drains it, and after you take it off her, you lower her back down onto the bed. Thanks, sweetie. You remain standing over Cassandra for a few minutes. It looks like she's fallen into the same heavy slumber that she was in when you were brought down here earlier. Hey, Guna, how you going? You squeeze her hand before turning to leave, but before you can step away, you feel a gentle grip on your wrist. Hey, come back in a bit. I want to hear about your day. Before she can finish the sentence, Cassie slumps back onto the bed, releasing you. Sure thing, Cassie. Oh, looks like she's not doing so hot, unfortunately. Yeah, I've been doing the mystery dungeon myself earlier today, actually. Work was quiet, so I was like, yeah, it's time for a mystery dungeon time. I'm up to level 7 of the mystery dungeon or something. I'm trying to do the 10 floors. With only 2 beds, it was Hanson on one and Cassie on the other. I had to make do with being propped up in the doctor's chair. I'm glad that Dr. Rosarium had left Cassandra's medication out on the countertop. If it locked them back up, I'd have been forced to break into the cabinets. Can't make out much of what's going on in there. Probably for the best. Being berated by both Netsack and Virgilius. I don't have the Netsack announcer, unfortunately. Obviously, I do have Virgilius. Because Angela's best announcer. There's currently 1 bed free, which Hanson will need once he's out, I imagine. I don't want to be caught taking a nap in it when that happens. Looking to Cassie, you take the box of pills still in one hand and the empty glass in the other, and head over to the hand-washing station where you fill the glass with water. Returning to the slumbering Cassie, you pop 2 tablets out of the blister and lay them and the glass on a small bedside shelf next to her. Pausing for a moment, you watch her sleep in complete peace, a sharp contrast to how she'd been before. Oh, well, let's see what exactly they are when they come out. I will be streaming that on the same day, so we'll get to look forward to that together. I'm curious what distinguishes them, however. Like, obviously we're in District H, with, like, I don't know if they're like an H-Corp, like, spin-off, or like if they've got H names because they're stationed in H, I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what's going on there. Pausing for a moment, you watch her sleep in complete peace, a sharp contrast to how she'd been before. You know you've got a patrol to be getting on with. Thought of leaving her alone like this anchors you to her bedside. You wish you could be here when she wakes up, or at least leave her something nice to wake up to. Yeah, they mentioned, like, same origin, certainly. But that could mean a lot of things, right? Reaching into your jacket pocket, you pull out the chocolate bar you'd bought from the vending machine during your earlier visit to the mess hall. You furtively look back to the frosted glass of the surgery wing and, assuming that the doctor is still occupied with whatever procedure he's carrying out on Hanson, covertly slide it under Cassie's pillow. It's not much, but it's the least you can do to keep her spirits up. Don't let Dr. Rosarium catch you with that, okay? He knew how much junk you'd been eating from the vending machines and probably get the captain to block your access. With a soft smile on your face, you gently move a few errant strands of hair from her face before squeezing her hand again and moving away. Oh, sweetheart! Give Cassandra a chocolate bar at every opportunity. We got an achievement for that. Lovely. Cassie should have everything she needs for now. I'm not going to go messing around in there for anything else. If it needs some more painkillers, I can just ask Dr. Rosarium. Even if those were unlocked, I shouldn't go digging around in them. I don't imagine the doctor wants to be disturbed right now. Quite. I assume she's zonked. More broke than you ever have since good old Firefist wouldn't pull himself. I'm saving on rolls for the most part for when the Arknights collab happens, because chances are we're not going to be able to shard those, and those ones are, like, going to be limited edition. So I'm basically going to need to pull all of them, right? If I want them. See? Hang in there, Cassie. Alright. Let's move out from here. Nothing in the airlock, I'm assuming. After we brought the gun dog back online, the whole crew had been reminded about the locations of emergency spacesuits throughout the ship. The attack from that machine was so sudden, though, that there was no chance for anyone to put one on. Its attack had been successful. It probably wouldn't have made much difference to the crew's survival if they'd been wearing one or not. I've had enough views into space from this room to last me a lifetime. The only time I ever want to see this door open is when we're docked. No issues here. This looks like it's in normal working order. Getting way too familiar with the Gundog spacesuit collection. I'd like to not wear one for a third time this mission. I hope that we'll never get a Limbus Company and RGG collab. As in, yeah, the Yakuza games? I think it looks much better closed. Let's leave it that way. With the terminal working, I've not got any need to use this again. Let's see, any imminent threats hurtling towards us? Let's have a look. Nothing that I can see. Lovely, alright. Yep, no one is here, didn't think so. I suppose, like, the collab that I would like would be a Zenless collab. Like, I feel like that would work pretty good. Like that one's similar to sort of like Arknights in that I feel like the settings are similar enough that they could work pretty well. Possibly Girls Frontline could work as well. Alright, from this day on, I'll always appreciate a nice working elevator. Not a whole lot going on down that way. Doesn't seem like there's much going on down there. Alright. Well, let's head up to the bridge. I suppose you could have a Majima Ryoshu would be pretty good, right? You step off the elevator and enter the bridge to the sound of a trill beeping coming from a control panel. stood over the panel, typing hurriedly on the keyboard, is Vanessa. She looks over to you with a start before turning back to the keyboard and quickly entering more commands. Are we using the boss key? After a few seconds of typing, she aggressively hits the enter key, which silences the beeping and turns quickly to you, looking slightly flushed. Heath or Ryoshu? Yeah, Heath would work well as well. Like, Ryoshu was my first thought, but yeah, Heath would work as well. And Zenless, like, while it is a colourful art style, I would consider it a crap Saturan kind of world. Like, if you ignore, like, the surface colours, it is actually pretty dark. The city in that is basically the only city left on Earth. The rest of the world, and the moon as well, is covered in hollows, which could be considered to be like the outskirts. And these hollows also threaten to take over the city as well. You've got corporations that play a major role in politics. So, like, while it presents itself in a more colourful manner, you've got a whole bunch of stuff that would absolutely work with Project Moon's city, in my opinion. And what do you want, Lieutenant Denacia? At this point, you no longer have the energy to mask your exasperation, and let out a sigh as you pinch the bridge of your nose between your thumb and forefinger. I'm just carrying out a standard patrol, Lieutenant Lord, making sure everything's in order following the battle. Is everything okay up here? You leaned slightly to try and see what was being displayed on the screen above the panel Vanessa had just been using, that was now stood in front of. Stepping sideways to block your view, Vanessa reaches back to the keyboard without turning around, and enters a quick series of button presses that shift the display to something else. Of course you're on patrol! I suspected you wouldn't be here to give your post-mission report like you're supposed to. It'd be too much to expect the Gundog's hero, the dashing Lieutenant Denacia, to actually follow protocol for once. But then again, with how I had to remind you of procedure when the power went out, I suppose you might not be willfully ignorant of how you're supposed to act. It could be that you're just plain ignorant instead. I had to fuck up the gnomes. Fuck the gnomes! Yeah, I also picked the gnomes for my mirror dungeon. That took a while. It was better than when I picked what was it, Railway for Line 3, I guess? Where I had to fight a whole bunch of clone Picatula. That's always fun to do. You feel a familiar rising tide of anger within you. A feeling that, for most of your career, had been limited to encounters with Hansen, but was now becoming much more common with every conversation you had with Vanessa. Can we tase Vanessa? Put a check on that one, Ada. I'm just spitballing here, but I get the feeling that Vanessa might be up to something sus, and maybe she'll try a coup of some sort, I don't know. I don't feel like she's got the support to do that. But we might get the chance to tase her. I feel like the game's going to give us a chance to tase Vanessa. We'll see if it's the right choice at the time, but it might very well be. I feel like she deserves it more than Hansen, to be honest. Hansen, for all of his argumentative faults, is likely a victim of PTSD like us. And it's like pushing like all the trauma that happened to him, save before doing it. Yeah, okay, fair enough. If you say so. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I get the Hansen's at least competent. Vanessa is not. I don't think she's done anything useful so far. All she's done is like yell and take credit for other people's work and threaten them and slow things down for everyone else. You do know you're supposed to report to the mission overseer immediately after you're dismissed from sickbay for debriefing, right? Any remaining desire you had to check in on the bridge, and Lieutenant Lord was swiftly leaving you. Yes, Lieutenant. Thank you. I am aware of the procedure, but I'm under direct orders from the captain to begin a constant patrol. Besides, I would have assumed that someone as capable as yourself would have been able to get the general picture of what had happened on the O'Brien without me needing to tell you. Or was the battle outside the ship and the giant machine currently in our hangar not obvious enough? If Vanessa had picked up on the barb in your query, she wasn't acknowledging it. Captain's orders, huh? For all those are worth. Although you'd initially assumed Vanessa's general aggression was just a personality deficiency, her increasingly open hostility to the ship's command structure was beginning to stand out to you as something more than just unmanaged anger issues. You make a mental note to bring it up with the captain at the next opportunity. Lucky for you, Lieutenant, I'm more than capable enough to pick up your slack, and I've already gone through the communication logs, the Juno's flight data. I am also in the process of reviewing the O'Brien's black box information. You know, I'm actually pretty impressed. I assumed you've been playing the hero because a certain someone was involved. Even I'll admit that it must have taken guts to wait for Hansen to get back to the Juno. Do I go for the WN5 pack? Wayward Passenger. I'll get White Decipium and Phlebotomy pack. I guess you're going for a bleed build? I still don't like White Decipium. I like Phlebotomy pack, but that's fairly common to show up in like question mark spaces. So I don't know. I don't care for White Decipium. Or was it that you knew you didn't stand a chance if you try to pilot that Juno on your own? You roll your eyes. You've been surprised that Vanessa was giving you something that was coming close to a compliment, but of course it had to be second-guessed in the very next breath. It barely matters. Alright, fair enough. My current build for Mystery Dungeon is like mostly poise. I've got 2 Blade Lineage, I've got the full stock office, and then I've got a little bit of bleed as well, with Barber and Lobotomy Ryoshu, Penitence, and Red Eyes. Look, Lord, and another thing. I've got to hand it to your quick thinking skills when it came to commanding Ensign Cruz during that battle. Wayward Passenger, go! Without your decision to get Cadet Grange involved, things might have turned out very differently for the Gundog. Didn't you stand in our way to get Cadet Grange involved? Wasting valuable time? Still, it's a lot easier to just sit back and tell people what to do than to actually do it yourself, right? A lot less pressure on you. See, that's the thing. That's what you're trying to do, and you don't even know what the right thing is. So, fuck you, Vanessa. Yeah, I enjoy that reference. That is a good reference. You're about to snap back at Vanessa, but your exhaustion wins out against your anger, and you swallow your words. Well, Lord, I'm glad that you put your talents to good use and managed to get the assessment done without me. I've got orders to carry out, so if you don't mind, I'll be leaving. Oh, not at all, Lieutenant. I wouldn't want to keep you from your important work. Keep it up. I'm sure your commitment to your duty will be rewarded very soon. Are you threatening me? Unwilling to put up with Vanessa's consistent contempt for much longer, you mumble a vague goodbye and turn back towards the elevators. Alright, let's look around, shall we? Vanessa was acting pretty weirdly earlier. Wonder what she was doing at that station. The blast shutters would have been down during the battle, but against that thing, I don't see them being much use. Nope. Vanessa was wonder what she was doing at the station. Vanessa was acting pretty weirdly earlier. If she wasn't here, I'd try and check out what she was doing. But I don't think the potential argument is worth doing it with her around. With the long-range communications offline, we've lost a lot of sensor capability too. So we'll be relying on our eyes until the Chief gets it fixed. Vanessa... yeah. Okay. I wonder who'd give me more grief for sitting in this chair. Captain or Vanessa? Mola Ishmael's pretty good. I recently picked up Captain Ishmael, so I've replaced her. But Mola definitely still has her place. 100%. Let's talk with Vanessa some more, shall we? Lieutenant Lord? What were you doing when I came in? Those alerts from the control panel sounded pretty serious. What's it to you what I'm doing, Denasia? Vanessa snaps at you. I'm on patrol. I'm checking that everything's... well, maybe check things that actually need your attention, and don't start drilling crew members for simply doing their job. Okay, fine. I just wanted to know if it's anything serious. And how would you know what's counted as serious to operations, Lieutenant? Are you aware of everything we handle? Or do I need to waste my time explaining it to you? All right! All right! You throw up your hands as you turn away. Understood! I'll leave you to it. She is sus. Captain's gimmick is feeding her kills, which can be difficult in human fights. I mean, I thought Captain's gimmick was ordering other people to do stuff, right? Like having an extra sort of assist going on, right? Or at least that's what I like about her. Alright, let's go over here. It's currently just me who have access to the armory. No real need to check there. I should check in with the Chief as part of my patrol. Find out how things are going with the engines. Absolutely. No one to talk to here. Let's go over here, shall we? Everything looks alright here. Everything in here seems okay. Huh. Now that I look at it, there's a few loose bullets in the bottom of this locker. And some of the weapons don't look like they're mounted quite right. Maybe they came loose during the battle? I'll get authority from the captain to tidy up this locker later. That is worrying. Could Vanessa have somehow gained access to the gun cabinet? Although, maybe I should bring it to her attention just in case. I'm going there immediately. This Is this actually listed as a task? It's not listed as a task, but I'm going to go do it anyway. You tap on the locker's handle, but there's no give, indicating that the lock is engaged. Without authority from the bridge, no one is getting in here. Looks like some stuff came loose during the battle, so I'll have to get the captain's go-ahead before I can open this up to tidy it. Got a full cylinder of electroshock rounds right now, which is more than enough. I don't need anything else. The risks of an enemy pilot emerging from that machine are near zero, so definitely not worth me spending my time wandering around in one of these. Alright, let's get out of here. Central hub. It's a force side. Crew... Captain's quarters. Is there an immediate issue, Lieutenant Denacia? The weapons locker and Lieutenant Lord. We've got some new dialogue now. Excellent. This is good. So I wanted to talk to her about Lieutenant Lord previously, but I guess I had to go speak with her first before I was able to. Alright. I was reviewing the contents of the armory, and noticed that some of the contents in one of the weapons lockers were out of place. I see. You'd hoped for a little bit more of a response. On other ships you've been aboard, even in normal circumstances, if there had been something out of place in an armory, the ship's command would typically order it resolved immediately. Yes. In the locker with the lethal weapons and ammunition. I haven't received any notification or alert that someone's accessed the lockers. So, I'd assume anything out of place was just dislodged during our encounter. The captain trails off and you remain silent, waiting for her sentence's resolution. So, as the pause in conversation drags on, none seems forthcoming. Eventually, you decide to break the silence. Would you like me to tidy things up? Or investigate, ma'am? As I've just said, Lieutenant, I have not received any alert about the weapons lockers. So for the time being, I'd rather you focus on the task at hand than get distracted by cleaning up messes. You tense up at this response, but the captain's propensity to be distracted in one way or the other, the hypocrisy of the order doesn't go down well. So, unless there's anything else you'd like to discuss, I think it's best that you complete your patrol, Lieutenant. Yes, ma'am. Lieutenant Lord could have silenced the alert. I wanted to talk about Lieutenant Lord, ma'am. Oh? Captain's way of putting as little of herself into the conversation was always disconcerting, but even more so when you were discussing sensitive topics. Yes, ma'am. I know that within the past few hours there have been some extreme circumstances. However, I've noticed that Vanessa Lord's attitude has become somewhat hostile towards the rest of the crew. Is that so? Yes, ma'am. I also think that she may be... Grit your teeth and think about your next words carefully. Raising a grievance against another crew member is never a pleasant experience, but your role is to ensure order is maintained on board the ship. In contempt of your command, ma'am. Oh, really? You try your best to discern the captain's reaction, but beyond the slight raising of one eyebrow, she maintains her typical indifferent demeanor. Yes, ma'am. There have been a few comments that this isn't something that I've noticed. Mimicking the captain, you maintain composed and collected on the surface, but internally you balk at her response. Is she really unaware of the open hostility that Vanessa seemed to hold for her and almost every other member of the crew? Or was Lieutenant Lord able to disguise her constant disdain from the captain? Thank you for bringing this to my attention, Lieutenant Venetia. I'll take a note to have a conversation with Lieutenant Lord at her next review. Is there anything else I could help with? Really? Like, let me into the weapons locker. Alright. Alright. Well. Ian! Okay. Maybe if we talk to the chief, she'll have more ammo that we can use against Lord. You pass through the stillness of the aft thoroughfare and head into the thrumming depths of the engineering department. As you make your way through, you look around for any sign of the chief, starting with the catwalks and workstations above you, then the machinery that fills the level that you're on, and finally finishing your search by scanning the levels below you. Hey, Kuro, how you going? Hey, Chief. Chief! Are you in here? Chief! Taking a deep breath, you cup your hands around your mouth and shout, Chief! You wait for a moment, but with no response forthcoming, you decide that you can be sure that the chief isn't in engineering. Despite the level of noise coming from all the various systems, it wasn't like engineering was that loud. Oh, that's late. Like 3 extra hours of work, assuming normal end time at 5 PM? That's rough. Instead of carrying on your search for Chief Cafes, you turn your attention to the engineering department in general, quickly going through your mental list of checks that make up your patrol's report. As far as you can tell, everything seems in order, leaving you without much to dwell on. Alright, let's walk over here. I'm almost certain that thing's a power distribution module. It distributes power to rechargeable batteries at least. Oh, what did you end up with this time, Guna? That thing is, it's, probably really important. Let's leave it at that. It's life support. Wonder if the terminal in my quarters acting weird had anything to do with the central computer going offline earlier. But that's right! My terminal was acting weird. Did she hack into our terminal to get our codes or something? I'll ask the chief to look into it when she's got the time. If the chief's not in here, she's probably in there. But the engines are back up and running yet. Don't have anything that needs recharging right now. Doesn't look like there are any batteries that need to be returned at the moment either. At least some things are running nice and smoothly. I'm going to leave that up to the chief. Best case scenario, I make her really mad at me. Worst case scenario, I kill everyone on board. Central computer? Take a moment to pause outside the door leading into the small room containing the interface for the ship's central computer. Despite looking much like any other door on the ship, made distinct only by the stenciled paintwork stating that what lies within is the ship's mainframe, you can feel the weight of the significance of what lies behind it. It had only been a few hours ago that you desperately hooked up the portable sub-terminal and used the last of its battery to open the door, allowing you to make your way inside and reactivate the computer, and with it, the gun dog. Quite a small amount of dark humor in the fact that you'd rather be dealing with those circumstances again, rather than what was happening now. Despite the stress you'd felt at the time, you really never know what you've got until after it's gone. You run your hand over the cool metal of the door. Well, I can get in here anyway. Access is restricted to the captain and Cassie. Let's have a look inside, shall we, just in case. Oh, wait. You dig around in your pocket and pull out Cassie's keycard. I forgot I had this. Turn the card over in your hands a few times, thinking about how, since it wasn't your card and it had access beyond your rank, you should have really handed it in earlier. However, given the circumstances and everything that had gone on today, you had a feeling that it might be worth hanging on to. With what happened with the central computer earlier, it's probably worth checking up on it. You run the card through the card reader to the side of the door, and after a brief delay, the terminal flashes a message. Access granted, and the door begins to slide open. As the opening door reveals a glimpse into the room, you spot a hint of movement within the cramped interior. Without hesitation, you draw your electroshock weapon and aim it into the room, waiting for the door to fully open to reveal whoever's inside. Hold it! You step into the empty room and look around. The room is so small that you could already see the majority of it through the doorway. There was nowhere that anyone would be able to hide. I hate fighting Silt Current. That is a horrible fight at the best of times. The Toad, at a higher level mystery dungeon, I suppose that's going to provide a whole lot of sinking on your team, isn't it? Basically, screw you over. Yeah, Toad sounds quite risky at high levels. As you stood alone in the room, the only thing that was moving was your hair, which was being gently blown around by the overhead ventilation. You look upwards. As small as it was in terms of floor space, the room's ceiling was so far above you that you couldn't make it out in the gloom. You only knew that there was a ventilation duct above you due to the constant cool breeze. Oh, regular mystery dungeon, gotcha. Alright. Oh, you're on Canto 4. Alright, I will refrain from talking about, later stuff, then, I guess. Either way, Silk Current sucks. Let's be starting to see things. You sigh to yourself, holstering your weapon and pinching the bridge of your nose with your thumb and forefinger. After a brief moment, you look around the room one more time. Not seeing anything unusual, you shrug and step back into the engineering department. Lord could be accessing... through the vents, right? Now carry on patrolling. Might be something I missed. Not like I'm on a schedule or anything, so I'll check a few more things out. Oh, everything seemed okay in there. Door slides shut, you turn away and head back towards the engineering department's main walkway. We still need to go in here. The doors to the engine room slide open in front of you, and you're met with the disheartening sight of the huge engine remaining totally stationary, devoid of its normal rotation. The sense of stillness that permeates the vast area you're stood in is disconcerting. The only thing breaking the all-engulfing silence is a constant grumble coming from the lone figure of the chief, leaning over a control panel in the distance. "Chief! Everything alright?" You call out as you approach her. "No, damn it, Lieutenant, it's not!" You're a little taken aback by both the chief's curt response, but also that you didn't need to pester her in order to drag her attention away from what she's doing. No? No! If I didn't know better, I'd call it sabotage. But no one else on this ship has the know-how to do that kind of thing. So right now I look like an idiot who can't get the NPEs back online. Whoa, Chief, hold on. Sabotage? It's not sabotage, Lieutenant. Like I said, no one on the ship would know how to do this kind of thing. I've ruled out hardware issues, and I've never seen the software do a full reset on the startup process before. So unless it's something I'm missing like an idiot, then... Chief, what's going on? I've gone through the entire startup process. I was just about to fire up the MPEs when that machine crashed into the hangar and I had to go and secure it. The status of everything should have held at that point until I got back, and it would have been straightforward to just enter a few commands and restart the engines. But... the Chief lashes out with her boot, striking the bottom of the casing of the control panel she'd been working on. The whole process has been reset, and all of my calibrations and checks have been wiped. I had to start from the very beginning. Without the NPEs online, I can't even get the ship moving, let alone get the HFDD started. Until I can get the HFDD up and running, I'm stuck here instead of being in the hangar figuring out what's going on with that machine. Killing me! And every second I waste screwing around with the engines is another second we're adrift out in the boonies with God knows what in our hangar. The Chief strikes the base of the control panel again before leaning over it and beginning to key in commands. Even the preset functions I have installed have been wiped out. Basically at shipyard status. This is ridiculous. First, I'm going to have to... Is there anything I can do to help? No. Oh. Nothing personal, Lieutenant, but... No. There's absolutely nothing you can do to help me in this case. Well. But, thanks for offering. No problem, I guess. Before you're even done responding, the Chief has turned her attention back to the screen full of diagnostics and settings, and has begun keying in commands, pausing to take note of some nearby readouts and then inputting more information. You make a mental note to fill the captain in on the status of the engine startup process, and decide to leave the Chief to it since there's apparently nothing else for you here. Gosh. Fucking Vanessa. Still out of action. Based on what the Chief said, it's going to be a while before it's back up and running too. I mean, I could, but I'd probably have to go through the Chief to do so. Which doesn't sound like a good idea. Absolutely not. Hey, Chief? About the machine in the hangar. What about it? What do you reckon it is? Where do you think it came from? Mars? That's a damn good question, Denasia. I've absolutely no idea. Never seen armor, weapons, or a propulsion system like that. I've read speculative proposals about that kind of tech. It's decades away from even the fundamentals of it. We might be in peacetime. All the big governments are doing everything they can to develop their weapon systems, ensure they're not caught out again. But if anyone had anything like this, even in the testing stages a few years ago, the war would have been over a lot quicker, one way or the other. Even if this was Martian or Terran, it doesn't make any sense to test it in the JCF's backyard. If it's ours, then why would they send us in without letting us know? So, there's nothing? No indication where it came from or what it's for? I can tell you what it is, Lieutenant, that's for sure. That machine is nothing but a weapon. Beyond that? Might be able to figure out some answers to these questions. If I wasn't stuck here restarting these engines from scratch. Which you're distracting me from, Lieutenant. So get out of here! Yes, Chief. Alright. Well, let's head on out. Wait a minute. That wasn't this way the last time I passed through here. Maybe Dalton didn't replace this correctly. Must have shaken loose during the battle. It was definitely attached the last time I was here. Hold on, let's go to the bridge and see if we can access the computer. Oh, Vanessa's here. Lieutenant Lord? You haven't noticed any strange activity recently, have you? Like what, Lieutenant? Like our entire ship losing power? Even the backup systems? Or how we lost contact with the ship that we were supposed to rendezvous with? Lieutenant? Or the sudden attack by a completely unknown machine? Lord, could I? Or how about, Lord, give me a chance to talk for 2 seconds. Now, you listen to me, Lieutenant. Not giving Vanessa the chance to launch into another tirade, and instead just talk over her. I found the panel for the maintenance crawlway in the central hub on the floor. I'm just checking that nothing out of the ordinary has happened. Oh, is that all? You place your face in your palm, wearied by the amount of effort you have to put in just to have a simple conversation with Vanessa. No, I've not seen anything unusual going on. That idiot cadet must have put it back on incorrectly. Tell him that... Alright, thank you, Lieutenant Lord. With the answer that you've been after obtained, you quickly shut down the conversation before your patience can run out. Vanessa was acting pretty weirdly earlier. So she's still here. This definitely wasn't like this when I came through here earlier. You head over to the entrance to the maintenance crawlway and, holding onto the sides, lean into the space first, looking up and then downward. The ladder extends into the gloom in both directions, and although you can only see up to a certain distance, you can't see anything unusual, and you don't hear anything either. With a shrug, you move to pick up the panel, placing it back onto the wall. Takes a little bit of trial and error, but eventually you get the panel attached again. Give it a few knocks for good measure. That should do for now. And I looked at a few loose bullets. Alright. We can't do that. Airlock. No issues here. Normal. Okay. Head into here, see if anything's going on. Cassie, hang in there. Alright, so this is still in surgery. Go to the mess hall. Have a chat with Haru, shall we? Though Haru was keeping to themselves right now, you felt that with things the way they were on board the ship, you had to check in with everyone. Pull up a seat. Still on doctor when I left, he was taking them into the surgery wing. Okay, so just repeating some of the conversation here. Okay, so nothing there I can talk about. Oh, these. Yes, Lieutenant? No. Yeah, so nothing new there. Hey. Looks like it's working fine now. The central computer deactivating earlier had messed up some of the systems. And yeah, I noticed something weird was going on in Cassandra's room, like her computer was on, right? I finished checking out everywhere the captain wanted me to. Up here, should I report to the captain? And carry on for now. We'll check in with, Hold on, I need to go to the hangar. Carry on patrolling. Deliver report. Let's go to the hangar, shall we? Dalton's busy. Alright. Alright. Well, let's go talk to the captain now, shall we? Let's save the game here. Well, I've not found anything that really needs reporting, but nothing else I need to do right now, so I should let the captain know I've finished my patrol. Actually, hold on. Before I do that, quickly talk with the chief, just in case I've got extra dialogue with her about that panel, right? Hey, Chief? About the machine in the hangar. Oh, no. Alright. Alright, I think I'm good. Alright, so, you've got our ad. We're going to go on a brief break, and then we will go and report to the captain and see just what's about to go down. Because I'm sensing treason. Be right back. Alright, we are back. And it is now time to report to the captain. Let's go. Well, not found anything that really needs reporting, but nothing else that I need to do right now, so I should let the captain know I've finished my patrol. After briskly making your way to the captain's quarters, find yourself stood outside her familiar, insignia-marked door. You're about to knock to announce yourself, but before you can, you instead move your hand to cover your mouth as you let out a loud yawn. You stop midway through your exaltation, interrupted by a twinge of pain in your neck as you'd raised your arm. You roll your neck a few times, but this does nothing to shift the discomfort that you're now feeling. Seems like the painkiller the doctor had given you was beginning to wear off. Gee, I hope this doesn't affect our aim when we inevitably try and shoot Lord with our taser. You sigh, which quickly turns into the previously interrupted yawn. The tiredness which you'd been doing your best to ignore since you'd returned to the Gundog is now hitting you hard, and you are suddenly very aware of the physical and emotional toll the past few hours had taken on you. As you feel exhaustion spread through your body, you hope that after you make your report, the captain would command Haru to take over the security detail whilst you got some rest. Being mindful not to aggravate the pain in your neck further, you slowly raise your hand and tentatively knock on the captain's door. Enter. You hear the captain announce from the other side. Lieutenant Denacia, I assume you've come to me with a complete report of your patrol this time? You shut your eyes briefly and draw in a deep breath, mustering the energy to engage with the captain. Yes, ma'am. And? You release the breath slowly. Conversations with the captain could be exhausting due to how little effort she seemed to put into them, and right now you felt a very real need to conserve your energy. Having visited fire control, the bridge, and the engine room, aside from the existing issues with the long-range communication system, sensors, and NPEs, there's nothing new to report. With the exception of a few minor technical issues that appear to be the result of our battle with that craft, I can't find anything untoward or immediately suspicious. There's no sign of any intruder that I've been able to observe. I see. Though everything's in order? You clench your jaw to stifle a yawn. As you catch a glimpse of the captain's bed in the annex that serves as her bedroom, you find yourself desperately craving your standard issue bunk. On the patrol route, at least, yes. Good to hear. Do your best to stifle another yawn, willing the captain to dismiss you. In that case, Lieutenant, you relax slightly, waiting the order to finish for the day and pass the torch to someone else. I want you to head to the sickbay and get an update on Ensign Crew's status. You tense up again, the prospect of immediate rest now pulled out from under you. Ensign Cruz, ma'am? Yes, Lieutenant. When I'd previously spoken to Dr. Rosarian, he'd advised that the procedure should have been finished some time ago, and Ensign Cruz should be ready to resume duties shortly after. I need to brief Ensign Cruz on his new responsibilities, but I'm yet to hear anything from the doctor. So, Lieutenant, I need you to head to the sickbay to find out what the delay is. Understood? You'd allowed your weariness to creep over you, but it had been bearable because of the expectation that once you'd reported to the captain, your duties would be done. Now, though, with another task foisted upon you, it felt almost overwhelming. With a Herculean effort that you hide from the captain, you throw a swift salute to acknowledge your new task. Yes, ma'am. Understood. Very good. Dismissed, Lieutenant. You maintain your posture until you've left the captain's quarters, and as the door closes behind you, it's all you can do to not slump to the floor. This must be the last thing she has for me to do today. There's no way. You sigh deeply and pinch the bridge of your nose, taking a moment to wallow in your exhaustion until you feel ready to face this latest challenge. Alright, let's go. Oh, I'm going to quickly go into the captain's quarters again. As soon as I've checked in on hands of the captain, I can get some rest. Do everything else after I've had some... Hold on, I just want to quickly save here. I just want to make sure that I didn't have any... Okay, looks like I was fine. Alright. No worries. Alright. Alright, so we've loaded the game. Our task is now to visit the sick bay. I don't need to go in there. I need to get to the sick bay. I mean, I want to get in there. Can I get in there? Actually, sorry, I'm gonna reload the game real quick. I don't think I can get in there. Don't think I'm gonna find anything. Alright, it won't let me go in there. Alright. Four-side thoroughfare. Don't have the energy. Just want to go talk to Hanson and go to bed. Nothing in there for me right now. Still a bit hungry, but nothing compared to how tired I am. Once I get Hanson from the sick bay, then I can go get some rest, then maybe a huge breakfast. Alright, so just really out of it. After I get some sleep, exact opposite direction. I wonder who was really Dylan on lookout duty. Dalton, maybe? Alright, so Central Hub. The longer I screw around, the longer it takes until I finally get some rest. Head down to the sick bay. Sure, let's go. Well, that's why I'm here. Why wouldn't I? You lean back against the rear wall of the elevator and shut your eyes, savoring the brief moment of relaxation that comes from resting on the cool metal of the wall and listening to the gentle hum of the elevator's movements. You stay this way, seconds away from drifting off to sleep, until you feel the elevator begin to slow. You wearily open your eyes and push up the wall, standing upright. You lazily bring your hand up to your eyes to shield them from the harsh glare you know will come from the sick bay's lighting. As your eyes adapt to the light, the first thing that catches your attention is a glitter-like shimmer from the floor at the far side of the room. Once your vision has adjusted completely, you realize that these sparkles are caused by the high-powered lights reflecting off fragments of broken glass that are scattered all over the floor. Doctor! Slumped over his desk is Dr. Rosarium. As you approach him, the dread is replaced with nausea. You see his one organic eye remains open, staring straight downwards, but devoid of life. Doctor, damn it! You quickly draw your electroshock weapon as you look over to the bed with Cassie on it. Seeing her lying still, you move swiftly over to check that she's alright. You feel a rush of relief as you see her chest rise and fall. A shiver runs up your spine as you hear the sound of someone stepping on broken glass behind you. You hold your breath, wait for a single second, and then swing around, bringing your gun to bear on where you heard the noise coming from. As you swing your arm around, it's immediately intercepted, stopping its arc before you can aim at where the noise behind you had come from. All you have time to process is a fist flying towards you, striking you square on the chin. There's nothing you can do but stagger backwards. Within a second, you're unconscious. Question marks. Geez, Captain, if you let me examine things, then we could have prevented this. Wake up, Lieutenant. I said, wake up, Lieutenant. Sleep on the job. You and your girlfriend are too much alike. Lord. What? Finally! I was beginning to think that you decided to copy our Lieutenant Commander and play Sleeping Beauty for the rest of the mission. Cassie! Is she... In the same moment that you sit up quickly, a lance of pain strikes you in the base of your skull and you wince, gritting your teeth and squeezing your eyes shut. I wouldn't make any sudden movements if I were you. He found you knocked flat out on the floor of the sickbay. Looking at the way you fell, you must have taken a serious blow. A shame. It's not like we've got a doctor to deal with that kind of thing anymore. Moving more slowly this time, you bring yourself upright and maneuver so that you're sitting on the edge of your bunk. You keep your head bowed as you tentatively feel the back of it where you'd hit the floor. Rosarium. He's... dead. You must not have got a good look at him, but someone pulled his plug. Kind of funny when... Okay, Lieutenant Lord, that's enough. What about Commander Quinn? Is she... What? You don't want to know more about the Doctor? Aren't you already planning your investigation? Shouldn't you be asking me if there's any information that might help you find the... You turn to look Vanessa straight in the eyes, your face a stern expression of disapproval. Just tell me how Commander Quinn is doing, Lord. She's unscathed, Lieutenant. As always, she's somehow managed to come out of things absolutely fine. We've moved her to the quarters for the time being, to keep her secure. You rest your elbows on your knees and place your head in your hands, massaging your temples in an attempt to reduce the pain that had traveled up your neck and into your forehead. What happened? You went into the sickbay and saw Dr. Rosarium at his desk, and over to Commander Quinn, and then... You remembered spinning around to aim your electroshock weapon at whoever had been behind you, but you hadn't managed to get a good look at them before they'd knocked you out. I got knocked out. What happened after that? Well, lucky for you, Ensign Cruz was in the surgery wing waking up after his procedure. He saw the silhouette of your fight through the glass and hit an emergency alarm. Although whoever it was managed to escape before Cruz could make his way out of the surgery wing, or anyone else could get there. That makes it twice that he's saved you this mission. Maybe we should be promoting him to the head of security instead. You roll your eyes at the thought, whilst cringing internally. Having hands to thank for your survival was becoming an uncomfortably common occurrence. Oh, what's the current situation then? Do we know? As you go to stand up, the same pain from earlier returns and you sit back down, wincing and rubbing your neck. Unfortunately, Lieutenant, no, we don't know anything. With our head of security taking a nap, and everyone on high alert at their stations, we've not managed to have the chance to investigate. But don't you worry, Lieutenant Denacia. We've got Ensigns Cruz and Rumney taking care of security operations until you recover. The whole ship's on lockdown at the moment. All clearance is restricted purely to necessary duty areas for each crew member, and access can only be granted from within the room if someone else wants to enter. So the captain's happy for you to take your time to recover. If Captain Bartomuse doesn't want me back on duty immediately, why are you here? Lieutenant, we're crewmates. Can't I stop by to check in on your recovery? You shoot Vanessa a stern expression, raising your eyebrow but staying silent. Oh, fine, Lieutenant. I wanted you to understand the full stakes of what's happening right now. We're stuck out here with no communication system, our doctor is dead, our lieutenant commander is inconveniently out of action for the foreseeable future, we've got a hostile craft sat in our hangar, and with all this going on, our captain's guidance is to just lock things down and carry on. Considering the circumstances, you'd think you should go with a bit more of a proactive approach, wouldn't you say? Lord, what are you getting at? Nothing, Lieutenant. Don't worry about it. For now. I just wanted to make sure you were up to speed on current events, in case you needed to make any decisions. That's all. Anyway, take these and get some sleep. You react with a start as Vanessa throws a small packet of painkillers to you. You catch it and turn it over in your hands. You notice the box is slightly crumpled and pull a small fragment of glass out from where it had been lodged in between the box's tabs. We'll be needing you, Lieutenant. Soon. Look up from the packet just as Vanessa turns to leave the room. Without saying anything else, he exits your room and steps into the corridor beyond, with the door hissing shut behind her soon after. Once Vanessa is gone, take the opportunity to look over the packet again before placing it down next to you on your bunk. Make another attempt to stand up, though you're more cautious about it this time. Despite how gingerly you'd risen to your feet, the pain in your neck had still reappeared before you were even upright. With a sigh of defeat, you opened the box Vanessa had given you, extract 2 tablets from their packaging, quickly tossing them into your mouth and swallowing. Oh, alright. If the game had given me a choice, I would have chosen to not take the pills. I don't trust Vanessa as far as I can throw her. And I don't trust her to have, given me, some sort of other drugs or something that are going to, incapacitate me or even kill me. I don't know. You slowly lie back down on the bunk, resting your head on your pillow. As you lie there, feel over what Vanessa had told you. Dr. Rosarian was dead, but Cassandra was fine. Whoever had been responsible hadn't been apprehended, and the whole ship was on high alert. Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying, Guna. You begin to think over who the assailant could be. You couldn't think of motivation for a single crew member to attack the Doctor. The Doctor is an interesting target, that's for sure. Unless it's part of some, scheme of Vanessa to... she seems like the sort of person to have, a really complicated scheme. Kill the Doctor, knock me out, make me look incompetent. I don't know if she's got crews on board at all or anything. Megami Tensei vibes. I've never played the old Megami Tensei games, only some of the newer stuff, like Persona and Devil Survivor. But yeah. She wants to get rid of the captain. And the captain sort of not doing anything about this, gives her a pretext to seize control. Someone's been murdered and she's just locking down the ship. Yeah. It could be that the Doctor was just a convenient scapegoat. Kill someone who she thinks she can get away with. overthrow the captain in a mutiny for being incompetent. And hey, look at me. I'm the captain now. Although, now that you think about it, this array in the sickbay was very similar to what you saw on the O'Brien. Was what happened there happening here? That is an interesting point. Oh, damn. I've got the hiccups. That's gonna be annoying. Plus, what was Vanessa talking about making decisions for? Your mind slows as the medication kicks in, and your thoughts lazily drift from one subject to another. Although you do your best to keep thinking about the dramatic shift in circumstances, you feel yourself beginning to slip out of consciousness and back into the exhausted slumber that Vanessa had interrupted. Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying she would be a good captain. I think she would be an absolutely terrible captain. 100%. Not that our current captain seems good or anything. I raised valid issues with her, and she didn't give me any leeway to go investigate. She doesn't seem to realize that Vanessa is sowing discord throughout the ship, and she's not exactly being subtle about it either. She has a very antagonistic personality. The last thing you remember before drifting off to sleep is that as soon as you were awake, you knew the first thing you'd be doing was visiting Cassandra. Alright, so April 24th, 2:14 of the planetary calendar. After recovering from the attack, Lieutenant Denasia awakens in their quarters a full 24 hours later to find that they are yet to receive any instructions. With no pending orders, they decide to check in with Lieutenant Commander Quinn to see if they have recovered from their affliction. Jovian space, Lieutenant Denasia's quarters, the Jovian patrol ship JFS Gundog. Oh, we're up to Chapter 8 now. Here we go. Reaching up above you and interlacing your fingers, you lean back, stretching out your back and your neck. As you release the last remnants of tension in your body, you sigh. Thankfully, it seemed that some bed rest was all that you needed to shift the accumulated aches and pains that you'd gained over the course of yesterday. Some sleep, coupled with a shower and a change of uniform, had left you feeling like a completely new person, almost as if nothing had happened at all. Although, despite how reinvigorated you felt, there was no way you could ignore what had happened. Still, there had been no more alerts, and you'd not received any orders via your terminal. A sign, you hoped, that everything was going well. Now that you were fully recovered, you had resolved to start the investigation into who had murdered Dr. Rosarian and attacked you. At first, you'd be visiting Cassie. Feels so good to be in a fresh uniform. Really woke up a sweat in those spacesuits. That was one hell of a nap. Maybe I shouldn't have trusted Vanessa's choice of medication so readily. I know, right? Still, I'm feeling a lot better. I must have really needed it. Absolutely. No time for reading right now. Doesn't look like I've received any updated instructions or orders. Vanessa said the captain was happy for me to rest as long as I needed to. At least I'm alive, absolutely. Guess that means that Hansen and Haru have been picking up the security patrols. Probably be hearing about that from them soon. Also, I'm worried that the captain might be dead in her quarters. And Vanessa is just pretending that the captain is alright. Let's see. You work your way through the terminal's menus, checking for any new orders, mail, instructions, etc. that may have come through between when you checked after you woke up and now. Nope, nothing. After how long I've been sleeping, I don't think I'll want to go back to bed for quite a while. I think I'll leave the lights on for now. Already got a fresh uniform. I need to go in there right now. Alright, so let's head out. Stepping out into the corridor beyond your quarters, you barely make it halfway to the four-side thoroughfare before an announcement sounds out over the loudspeakers. You instantly recognize it as Vanessa, despite the slight distortion caused by the speakers. Attention all hands! I repeat, attention all hands! This is Lieutenant Vanessa Lord. All members of the crew are to assemble on the bridge for an emergency briefing. Attention all hands! I repeat, attention all hands. The announcement is made a few more times until eventually you hear the subtle pop of the speakers indicating that Vanessa has stopped broadcasting. Emergency briefing. Quickly make through the ship towards the bridge, only stopping once you're outside the elevator. Yep, she has indeed sounded the first trumpet. You run your keycard through a reader and wait a little longer than usual. You can only assume that whoever is on the bridge is taking a few seconds to authenticate your ID and grant you permission to enter. I want to check my items. Do I have my stun gun? Soon enough, the door opens and you step inside. As you stand alone in the elevator listening to the dull whir of its motor, I wonder why the captain had called this meeting. Yeah, why the captain called this meeting. Had she come up with a plan to apprehend the attacker? Had Haru and Hansen uncovered some plot whilst you'd been resting? Or had something even worse happen that the whole crew needed to be made aware of? After a short wait, the doors slide open and you step out onto the bridge. Where you'd expected to see the captain, you instead see Vanessa, sat in the captain's chair and flanked by Haru and Hansen. Lieutenant Denisha, glad to see you're so enthusiastic. Please wait there until the rest of the crew join us. What's this about, Vanessa? Where's the captain? I'll address that once everyone else is here, Lieutenant. Vanessa, this is no time for screwing around. What's going? Take it easy, Lieutenant. Ensign Rumney swaggers up to you, placing the hand on your shoulder before moving around behind you. Lieutenant Lord just needs you to be patient and wait for a few minutes until the big announcement. Your posture stiffens as you feel something blunt thrust into the small of your back. You're confident enough that, unlike Cassandra's prank when you first came on board, this isn't a pen. Hey there, Sion. I don't think we had someone infiltrating the ship. I think it is just plain mutiny. And it seems like the pilots are both on board. You'd better listen to what Ensign Rumney tells you, Lieutenant. They like to be in charge, and don't take kindly to people who try to get on top of them. Oh, thank you very much, Kuro. Let's have ourselves a drink and stretch a little bit while we have a gun pointed at our back. That we could have prevented if the captain bloody let us investigate earlier. Alright, give me a moment. Alright. Alright. You feel the blunt object slide around your back to your side as Haru steps around you, keeping their arm draped over your shoulders. Crews should know, he's speaking from experience. You glance down and see that, protruding out from underneath the jacket that they're always carrying around, is the muzzle of a large handgun. Yep! Not an electro-shock gun like yours, but a lethal weapon. Vanessa, what the hell are you? We told you to wait, Lieutenant. You'd gone to step forward towards Vanessa, Haru emphasizes their point by thrusting the gun deeper into your side. You quickly stop, letting them draw you back to where you'd stood. There we go. Good choice, Lieutenant. Just let me look after you, and we'll both have a good time. Before you can respond, there's a small electronic chirp that sounds from the captain's chair. Vanessa looks down to the control panel and enters a quick series of commands. You hear the whir of the elevator, and after a few seconds the doors open, revealing Dalton, who nervously steps onto the bridge. I heard the announcement, and That's good, Cadet. Thank you for being so prompt. Do me a favor and stand over there by the Lieutenant, would you? Oh, yes, ma'am. Will do. As the cadet makes his way over to your side, you look at Lieutenant Lord, staring at her with a silent fury. All you get as a response is a sly grin. Much as you'd love to wipe that look from her face, you know that Hanson will be on top of you the moment you try to disarm Haru. You couldn't rely on Dalton to remain calm in that kind of situation either. There was a good chance that he would get caught in any crossfire. Instead, you just remain silent. It's good that you are feeling better, Lieutenant. I was really worried when I heard about what happened to you in the sickbay. Thanks, Dalton. With her smirk looking increasingly sinister, Vanessa shakes her head at you, forcing you to stop your response midway through. Lieutenant? You haven't had much time to resent Vanessa's subtle malice when you hear the same electronic chirp as earlier. After Vanessa repeats the previous process, Dylan soon appears. Wow, great atmosphere in here, huh? Dylan looks to all of you, but after receiving no response, he brings his headphones up over his ears and reaches into his jacket pocket. You hear the click of his cassette player, and watch enviously as he drifts off into his music. It doesn't take long after that for the Chief to arrive. Or at least we can count on the Chief to realize that this is serious. Much like Dylan, she takes stock of the silence and doesn't interrupt it, instead standing silently by one of the control panels. You all stand in this awkward silence with no one either daring or willing to break the quiet that fills the ship. The bridge, rather. Though you notice a few furtive glances from the Chief as she surveys the room, and some looks shared between Haru and Hanson as they keep the rest of the crew under close surveillance, everyone remains relatively still. Leaning back into the chair and crossing her legs, Vanessa positions her elbow on one of the armrests and rests her head on her hand. Don't worry, everyone. We're just waiting for the captain to arrive, and then things can begin. The captain's still alive. There's a round of uncomfortable looks that pass between Dylan, the Chief, and Dalton. After a moment, the Chief steps forward to say something. Lord, what a... Wait for the captain to get here, Chief. It'll all make sense then. You can see the Chief mull over this response, and although it takes a few seconds, she steps back, taking her previous position by the control panels. The silence on the bridge, which had clearly never been designed to hold this many people at once, continues to drag on until it's eventually broken by the now familiar chirp of an access request. And here she is now. Lieutenant Lord, what are you doing calling an unauthorized all hands? And what are you doing in the captain's seat? Oh, that finally got a response out of her. The level of tension that was already present suddenly explodes, suspense saturating the air. You feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand up as the realization of what Vanessa is planning hits you. Just like the Chief, Dalton, and Dylan, your eyes flick from the captain to Vanessa. Well, It is my seat, after all. What did you just say? Striding forward with intensity and purpose, the captain raises her right hand across her body and swings to strike Vanessa. Careful, Bartholmews. You don't want to get written up for striking a superior officer, do you? At the last moment, Anson's arm had reached out, viper quick. It grabbed the captain by the wrist before she could bring the back of her hand down on Vanessa. Cruz, you release me immediately! Cruz, you idiot, you! Hey! How about everyone calm down for a moment, huh? Stepping away from you, Haru reveals the handgun they've been hiding under their jacket and waves it around lazily before walking over to stand on the opposite side of Vanessa from Hansen. Now that we all understand who's in charge here, this is mutiny! Yanking her arm back from Hansen, Captain turns to face you whilst pointing at Vanessa. Lieutenant Denacia, detain these three immediately! You move your hand towards your holstered electroshock weapon, but find yourself hesitating for a brief instant. Follow the captain's orders. You grab your weapon, but before you've drawn it halfway out of the holster, both Haru and Hansen are pointing their guns right at you. Admirable, Lieutenant. You're not that stupid, are you? Don't worry. I know you're just following orders like any good member of the JCF would, so I won't hold it against you. Forgot an apostrophe over there. Little Miss Perfect. If you holster that weapon right now. You glance from Vanessa to Hansen and Haru, whose weapons are both trained on you. Though Haru's expression is hard to read due to their shades, you can see a steely coolness in Hansen's eyes, telling you that he'd have no hesitation to pull the trigger at Vanessa's order. Knowing that you wouldn't be able to draw your weapon before you'd be gunned down, and that the two pilots are clearly willing to do so, you released your grip on the weapon and slowly raised your hands. Good choice. I won't stand for this! All of you are... Cruz? Yes, ma'am. Within the blink of an eye, Hansen steps up to the captain, balls his hand into a fist, and swiftly strikes her in the stomach, causing her to double over. Cruz! Slow down, Lieutenant! And staggers backwards, clutching at her stomach before falling to her knees, retching in pain. Stepping towards the captain, Hansen cracks his knuckles. Cruz, that's enough! Cruz, stop! That'll be enough, Ensign Cruz. I'm sure she's willing to listen now. Unless anyone else has any other objections? That's what I thought. Uncrossing her legs and rising from the captain's chair, Vanessa takes on a formal posture and walks into the middle of the bridge. I, Lieutenant Vanessa Lord, as of 1700 Jovian Standard Time, April 24th, Planetary Calendar 214, in accordance with the Jovian Colony Fleet Convention Section 16, Article 7, announce myself the new captain of the JFS Gundog. I justify my announcement through Section 16, Article 9 on the grounds that neither the captain nor her second-in-command are fit for duty based on medical circumstances. As we don't currently have a doctor on board, I am forced to make this assessment based on my own discretion. Alright, there's the reason for killing the doctor. In addition to this, under Jovian Colony Fleet Convention Section 16, Article 12, I am limiting both the previous captain and the lieutenant commander to their quarters on the suspicion of treason. Lord, what the hell are you? You spring forward to grab Vanessa, your hand already on your electroshock weapon, but before you can get to her, you're immediately stopped by Haru, whose pistol is crammed deep into your stomach. There's only so many times I'm gonna tell you to stay cool, Lieutenant. Looking past Haru and smug Vanessa, you can see that Hansen has similarly leveled his gun at the Chief and Dylan, both of whom step backwards. If you'd care to let me explain, we are currently in the middle of a situation that goes beyond negligence and incapability. Lieutenant Lord! The captain hisses, staggering to her feet with one arm over her stomach. You stop this now, or... With a slap that echoes around the bridge, Vanessa sends the captain, who is still unsteady on her feet, reeling. As she falls back to the floor, Dalton moves to help her, but is quickly blocked by Haru. As I was saying, it's clear that both Neris Bartholmews and Cassandra Quinn are traitors. You expect me to believe that the captain and her second-in-command are both incapacitated exactly when their clearance is needed to maintain ship operations? And that somehow an unknown craft, clearly made by our enemies, manages to make its way into our hangar, having already destroyed the O'Brien from within and killing its crew? Don't tell me this is a coincidence. It's clearly treachery. The Gundog and the O'Brien are obviously both being offered up as test data for a new enemy weapon, and Bartholmews and Quinn are the traitors who sold us out. Why else would they keep us from reactivating the Gundog? How else could that craft have gotten on board without help? Why would Quinn be mysteriously out of sight when that happened? No, that's not what she's upset about. She's just using this as justification. She is making up stories in order to justify her claim to become captain. It is clear that the reactivation of the Gundog was Vanessa's fault, because she continued delaying the chief to reactivate the engines, and then the engines, as they were about to become operation, got sabotaged. So I'm putting that on her. Like, the chief said that she doesn't know anyone on the ship who would be capable of doing so, admittedly. But like, I'm going to suspect Vanessa on this. Why would Quinn be mysteriously out of sight when it happened? She was obviously, like, sick. Like, incapacitated when the thing hit. Like, she's medically unsound. And the doctor's dead, so that we can't do investigations on her anymore. This is all clearly a power play from Vanessa. She is greedy and wants command. Like, she holds everyone else around her in disdain. And, like, yes, she's got, like, the captain is not the best captain at all, certainly. But, like, everything she's doing now is personally driven. And then Dr. Azarian ends up dead when she's in his care? What did he find out? Did she decide he knew too much? Not only is Quinn a traitor, she's a murderer too. Lord, that's insane. How the hell could... You want to be careful, Lieutenant. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, since you were the one that brought the Gundog back online and were with Ensign Cruz during the attack. But your close association with Lieutenant Commander Quinn means that I've had my eyes on you for a while, and I'm by no means confident that you're nothing to do with this. After all, Ensign Cruz didn't see anyone else in the sickbay after the doctor's murder except for you and Quinn. How could I have... Very suspicious. For now, it seems like I can trust you. So, as per Section 16, Article 12, I am announcing that all crew present, with the exception of Maris Bartomuse, have the choice as to whether they wish to continue to serve under my rightfully mandated authority, or if they'd like to maintain their allegiance to a traitor and be treated as co-conspirators when we get back to Europa Colony. An agonizing silence fills the room as Vanessa stands proudly amongst the crew who shift nervously. Both Hansen and Haru keep their guns trained on the crew on each side of the room, compounding the uneasy quiet. Don't worry, I'll be happy to take any lack of response as an affirmative. As the silence drags on, it's clear that none of the crew are on board with the idea, but at the same time it's obvious that none of them have enough loyalty to the captain to justify the risk of being charged with treachery. For you, though, this isn't about the captain. It's about Cassie. Lord, would you think about what you're doing? Taking medical command is one thing, but accusing the captain and Cassie of treason is... This sounds an awful lot like a no, Lieutenant. You grit your teeth and breathe in. It is a no. There's no way I'd join in with your scheme. This is nothing but your personal grudge. You saw a chance and you took it. There's no way the JCF will take your side on this. That's a shame, Lieutenant. I really thought you had more sense than that. But I suppose this is no surprise. At least it resolves matters. Cruz? Nothing personal, Denasia. Orders are orders. Shifting his weapon's focus from the Chief and Dalton to you, Hansen walks across the room, stopping only to sweep an arm out from underneath the slowly recovering captain, who was again attempting to return to her feet, sending her back to the floor. Make life easier for both of us, huh, Lieutenant? Turning on her heels, Vanessa returns to the captain's chair, sitting down with a smug expression on her face. Chief Engineer Cathays, Cadet Grange, I want those engines online now. As soon as they're operational, we'll be heading back to Europa Colony. Warrant Officer Dees, I want you back in fire control and to remain on high alert. We're going to assume that we're in enemy territory, and I want you on the lookout for any hostile activity. Understood? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What's that, Chief Engineer Cathays? Yes, Captain. You're all dismissed. With that, the three crew members quickly depart from the bridge in a single elevator, leaving you with Vanessa, the two pilots, and the captain. Ensign Rumney, you take care of Ms. Bartomuse. Sure thing, Captain. Shoving their gun in the back of their waistband, Harry walks over to the captain and lackadaisically delivers a kick into the captain's stomach, causing her to heave and curl into a fetal position. Come on, Bartomuse, let's get going. Dragging the captain upright, Haru holds on to her until she's able to stand, shoving her towards the elevator as soon as she can stagger forwards. Once they're both on the elevator, the pilot turns to you, looking over the top of their shades as the doors slide closed. You made a bad choice, Denasia. As soon as the doors of the elevator containing Haru and the captain are closed, the doors on the other open, and you feel the muzzle of Hansen's gun as it's thrust into your back. One more thing. Keeping his gun firmly pressed into the small of your back, Hansen leans around to your side and draws your electroshock weapon from its holster. Not surprising. Stepping back, he slides your weapon into a pocket within his jacket before gripping his gun with both hands and returning its muzzle to the small of your back. Don't want you getting any ideas. Take them away, Ensign. Yes, ma'am. Hanson shoves his gun harder into your back, and you reluctantly comply, walking across the bridge and into the waiting elevator. Once in, you turn around. Hanson keeps his gun trained on you, and behind him, you can see Vanessa sneering at you from the captain's chair. It's really a shame, Lieutenant. I'd had such high hopes for you. Before you're able to tell Vanessa what you'd hoped for her, the doors slide closed, and you're left in silence with Hanson. Once you arrive in the central hub, you're unceremoniously shunted at gunpoint through the ship towards your quarters. Once outside, Hanson gestures towards the terminal at the side of the door. Understanding his instruction, you take out your keycard, run through the reader, and enter your security code. As soon as the door opens, Hanson snatches the card out of your hand and shoves you into the room, forcing you to stagger your way inside. Leaning nonchalantly against the door frame, his boot positioned to stop the door from closing automatically, Hanson looks at you wordlessly. He remains silent for a few short seconds with a ruminative expression on his face, until you manage to stand back up and turn to face him. Once you've regained your composure, he straightens up and angles the gun towards you. You know, Denacia, I was beginning to come around on you. What's that supposed to mean? Hanson smirks. The stuff you've done. You're actually kind of alright. You might not be the coward you were back on the Khalik anymore. Thanks. Good to know I've changed your mind. Hey, don't get too ahead of yourself, Denacia. You might not be a coward, but you're still an idiot. You should have gone with the rest of the crew and sided with Lord. Now you, Bartolmews, and your girlfriend are going to get pulled up on treason. There's no way the JCF's going to believe her. You, Lord, Rumney, you're all going to get court-martialed for mutiny. I don't know about that, Denacia. Lord's got some pretty serious evidence. She's got it all figured out. This is how it ends, Lieutenant. You going down, some third-rate captain and your airhead girlfriend. Hope it's worth it. It's a shame. I was kind of looking forward to grabbing a drink with you and Rumney back on Europa. Whatever. We'll pour one out for you. Oh, thanks. Hey, don't worry about it. Now, get comfy, Lieutenant. You're going to have a dull trip back to Europa. As Hanson turns to walk away, you leap towards him, aiming to get your hand in the way of the door to prevent it closing. Before you can make it to the door, Hanson pivots and once again levels the gun at you. You stop inches away from the door. Hanson, you prick! You yell, banging your fist on the door. Can't do this! With your head in your hands, you turn back away from the door and sit down on your bunk, your mind racing as you think about Vanessa's mutiny, the prospect of getting court-martialed, and what might happen to Cassie. You're so angry that you can barely think straight. Different thoughts rush through your mind. You can't focus on one for long, until it's replaced by another. Your mind becomes a roiling storm of emotion. Eventually, after much pacing, swearing, and the occasional kick delivered to the now stubbornly shut door, you manage to calm down enough to begin formulating a plan. She's not going to get away with this. Alright, let's save here, because looks like Chapter 9. Yep, indeed. April 24th. Following the murder of Dr. Rosarium, Lieutenant Lord takes command of the JFS Gundog on the grounds that both the captain and her second-in-command are unfit for duty. As her first act, Captain Lord has Maris Bartholomews and Lieutenant Commander Quinn confined to their quarters on suspicion of treason. The ship's security officer, Lieutenant Denacia, is also confined to their quarters after refusing to follow the new chain of command. Jovian space, Lieutenant Denacia's quarters, the Jovian patrol ship JFS Gundog. You wince and draw your hand back from the wall panel next to your bunk. After spending half an hour unsuccessfully trying to find the catch to remove the panel, all you managed to do was snag your nail on an edge and tear it. With a loud exhalation, you move from your bed to the computer terminal on the other side of the room. You idly hit a few keys, but the only response you get is the screen displaying the same familiar text as the last few times you'd tried it. Access denied. Insufficient authority. As easy as it was to hate her, you had to give Vanessa credit. Her machinations had clearly been well thought through. Now, I did consider going along with Vanessa's plans, so that I would have freedom of the ship. And hopefully be able to undermine her that way. But I wasn't even going to sort of entertain that. I also figured maybe we'd be able to sort of escape from our room or something, or when we get back to Jovian space, assuming she keeps us alive, of course, we'd be able to make our case to the courts or whatever. Because yeah, there's no way Vanessa's justified in this. Nothing had been missed when it came to making sure you would remain imprisoned. Alright, so we've got our second ad break. So we're going to pause here, and we will return in a few minutes. I'm going to go in there, grab myself a drink as well, because I have run out. Alright, be right back. Alright, we are back. And it's, time to find out if we can do anything about this mutiny, shall we? Alright. So, nothing had been missed when it came to making sure that you would remain imprisoned. You hadn't noticed it when you'd awoken earlier, but someone must have gone through your quarters whilst you were unconscious. Small items like your nail scissors and metal bookmarks had been taken, leaving you with nothing to pry open the access panels. Sitting down on the chair in front of the terminal, you wondered how long she'd been planning this, and how much she'd accounted for. Placing your elbows on the keyboard and your head in your hands, you sigh again. You'd gone through every trick you'd learned in your time as a security officer, and none of them were helping you get out of here. Leaning back and looking at your watch, you see it's been nearly 6 hours since you'd been imprisoned. You felt the rumble of the Gundog's engines coming back to life about 3 hours ago. It would only be a matter of days now until you arrived back at Europa Colony. Waiting for you there, if Vanessa was successful, was a trial for treachery. You put your head on your hands again at the thought. There's only one outcome for a guilty verdict on that charge: execution. Leaning back in the chair, you stare listlessly at the ceiling. There had to be something you could do. Alright. I haven't got access to anything. Not even my mail or calendar. Not like it makes a difference. I haven't been much good with computers anyway. It's been locked the last 10 times I've checked, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Suppose I've got the time I need to catch up on my reading now. Wonder if I can make it through the last 6 books before we get back to Europa Colony. I always wished I could have a few minutes longer in bed each morning. Guess that wish has come true. Guess I've got enough clean uniforms to last me until we get back to Europa Colony. Have to look good for my trial. Investigate your quarters, find a way to escape. Your access denied. There's no one here right now? No, there isn't. Okay, let's see. You type in a few commands and attempt to navigate further into the terminal's interface. Every action you carry out is met with the same response. Access denied. Insufficient authority. Yeah, I thought so. Spend a few moments examining the control panel next to the door, tapping on the casing, pressing buttons and investigating the wiring that runs out from underneath it, before settling on your course of action. Hey! Hey! Romney! Are you gonna let me out or what? Hey! Romney! Can you hear me? Let me out! Shut up, Denasia! Yeah, that went as well as I expected. Sighing, you run your hands through your hair. I wonder if there's anything left for you to try. Just about to make another attempt at levering the panel next to your bunk off the wall when someone knocks loudly on the door. Step back from the door, Denasia. What do you want, Rumney? Just shut up and do it! With a sigh, you move back to the far side of your quarters. You moved? Yeah. Now you just stay there, Denasia. You roll your eyes. What did they think that you were going to do? You're lucky the captain's so generous. You get room service. As Haru steps back, Dylan comes around the corner carrying a tray of food from the vendor in the mess hall. Oh, someone's gonna give us something to break our way out. They're gonna sneak in like a knife or something. Hey, Lieutenant. How's it? Whoa! Less chat there, Dees. Tray on the ground and walk away. Yeah, chill out, Romney. Whatever. Muttering under his breath, Dylan lays a tray on the ground halfway between you and the door and walks out the room with Haru keeping their gun trained on you the entire time. Looking down at the tray, see it's a fairly standard meal. burger, fries, and a soda from one of the vending machines. You had to assume that Dylan had chosen this for you, as you couldn't imagine either of the pilots being so generous. Now, stay where you are. With their free hand, Haru reaches for the control panel on the opposite side of the door. Within a second, the door slides shut, and you hear the click of its lock. You sigh to yourself. You weren't happy about the situation you were in, but at least they were feeding you. Alright, so we're going to have a look at that in a moment. My Tales of the Cosmic Champions books. I'm not going anywhere, so I could take a break. Let's see, where was I? Ah, yes. Fleet Commander Wang had been imprisoned by his own side because... Oh. You know what? I don't feel much like reading, actually. You kneel down by the storage drawers set in the frame underneath your bunk and push on one, causing the drawer to spring open and slide towards you. Yeah, good night, Kuro. Sleep well. Pulling it as far out as it will go, you shove your possessions to either side and lean in to get a view of the inside. Rats. As you'd suspected, the underside of your bed is sealed off with more metal paneling, and the drawer is designed to catch on the inner framework before it slides all the way out. With the main material in its construction being steel and everything being welded together, you know you've got no chance of pulling the drawer out and crawling through. Scratch that idea. Let's give this one more go. Clamber up onto your bed and once again run your fingertips around the edge of the panel, trying to find any give or sign of a catch that you can use or remove the panel. Cover for the emergency mechanism in the airlock. This panel is clearly designed not to be removed using bare hands. Without a tool, there's no way I'm getting this panel off. Great. Still got Cassandra's keycard, apparently. That's a little bit surprising. A standard burger meal on a reinforced recyclable cardboard tray. They've probably given me a cardboard tray instead of a steel one to make sure I can't use it as a tool or a weapon. Once I've finished eating the food, all this tray will be good for is nutrition if they forget to feed me for the rest of the journey. Take the meal tray over to the terminal and sit down on the chair, balancing your food on the keyboard in order to use it as a makeshift table. At least Vanessa was feeding you. You've been starting to worry that you'd be left locked in your quarters the entire journey back to Europa colony with no one bothering to check in on you. After picking out a few fries, you raise the burger to your mouth and bite down. Ow! What the hell? You place the burger back on the tray and run your tongue over your teeth. You've bitten down on something hard. Pulling back the top of the bun to investigate, you find an entirely unexpected ingredient. Ah, Dylan! Yes! Resting between the imitation lettuce and beef is a small pocket screwdriver, just short enough to be hidden within the burger. Grabbing it with a napkin, you inspect it. Not only is it small enough to wedge between the gaps in the panels that make up the ship's ceilings, walls, and floors, but it's also got the right size head to unscrew any fixtures you may come across. This is perfect, you whisper to yourself. Screwdriver, screwdriver. You stand up to put it to use, but your stomach immediately roars in protest. Alright, eat the burger first. Okay, first things first, I guess. You place the screwdriver in your pocket and pick the burger back up, quickly devouring both it and the fries. Alright, now it's time. Let's go, people. So, might be small enough to hide inside a burger, but it will let me undo most of the fixtures on this ship. Alright, let's time to go into the walls, people. With the screwdriver that Dylan gave me, I should be able to get that wall panel off. Hopefully behind it will be enough space to allow me access to the maintenance crawlways. Alright, let's see. clamber up onto the bed and run your fingers over the seam between the panel and the rest of the wall. Alright. Taking the screwdriver out of your pocket, you work it into the small gap between the panel and the surrounding wall. Before getting that screwdriver, you sure were screwed. Credit to Vanessa. She did, like, make sure to clean out the room. Shame everyone hates her, though. Gotta work on her people skills. You slowly run it along this parting for a few inches until you feel it catch on something. Following some careful movements, you hear the sound of a latch undoing. That's one. You repeat this action a few more times along different parts of the panel. Eventually the final latch is undone, and the whole thing falls towards you. Nice. Let's go. Carefully lower the panel off your bed and place it on the floor so as not to alert Haru before returning to investigate what you'd revealed. I mean... Oh, yeah. Damn it. Curse under your breath. Where you'd hoped to see a large space that you could crawl into, you're instead met with a solid steel structural wall, with only a few inches of space between it and where the wall panel had been affixed. Call me Hindley with how I want to turn it solid. Ah, fucking Hindley. You grip the screwdriver tighter and suppress the urge to pound your fist against the wall in frustration. You've been so close! Despite a follow-up examination, there was no way you'd get into the newly revealed space. Not that it looked like it led anywhere anyway. With a deep sigh, you step off the bed. It looked like you'd have to find another way out of here. Alright. Hello? Now that I think about it, Cassie did mention that the crawlways were beneath the floors in the quarters and not inside the walls. How exactly would she know that anyway? Let's see how good Cassie's knowledge of illicit ship-based activities is. You take the screwdriver from your pocket and slide it into the gap in the seams between the floor panels. Slowly begin to slide it along the seam. It's only a few seconds before you feel it catch on something. Using your knowledge of how the catches work from the wall panel you'd removed, you're easily able to undo each one you run into, the panel noticeably lifting away from the floor with each catch that's released. After a few minutes of work, you undo the last catch. Despite its unwieldy size, you're able to shift the panel out of its original position without creating much noise, revealing a 3-foot drop down into a small tunnel that disappears into darkness in both directions. Wiping the sweat from your brow, you dust off your hands as you look over the passageway you've revealed. I don't know how she knew it, but she was right. Yeah, there are the crawlways I need to get out of here. Should really get going. Damn straight we should. As you stand above the entrance that you've just revealed, look around your quarters one more time. Let's see, is there anything else I need to do in here? Should I get going? Once I go, there's no coming back. Alright, let's just stay here for the time being. Let's have a quick look around, spending some time peering into the darkness of the crawlway. Eventually you decide to stay in your quarters for just a little longer. You don't know why, but something about committing to the decision makes you hesitate. Not yet. Anything in here? No. Alright. Don't need to waste time destroying the terminal. Can't afford to waste any more time though, so we should really get moving. Lives going on here. Even if I could get the door open, Haru's on the other side. Don't see them hesitating to pull the trigger. Okay. Let's just go down. You gaze into the darkness that lies ahead of you. After a few moments of thought, your mind is made up. It's time to go. Prepare for your escape, You return the panel that you'd removed from the wall to its original position, making sure that all the catches are reconnected to the mounting points. Then, you prepare to do the same for the floor panel, sliding it into a position where you'll be able to replace it once you're in the crawlway. Once it's in place, you lower yourself down into the space underneath the floor, kneel down, and slowly drag the panel over the opening above you. It takes you a few attempts to get it into the correct position, but eventually you have it, and all the mounts slide neatly back into the catches that you had secured it in place. Now in absolute darkness, you drop to your knees and reach out with your one hand, groping at the darkness. But no idea what lies ahead, as you begin to crawl forward. Absolute darkness of the crawlway leaves you disoriented as you fumble your way forwards. Every now and again you hit a corner, a drop or a rise that adjusts your trajectory. Hearing nothing but the gentle hum of the ship's systems or your own awkward shuffling, and unable to make out anything except for a dry, musty scent that had replaced the sterile smell that permeates the gun dog, you quickly lose your sense of distance and location. Nowhere to go but onwards, you continue slowly. You have no idea how long it's taken you, but you realize that you're able to distinguish the vague features of your surroundings. Sharp edges are now ever so slightly visible, and the seams and bolts that make up the inside of the crawlways have faded into view. Renewed by the potential that light coming from somewhere must mean there's an opening leading into some accessible part of the ship up ahead, you speed up, taking advantage of your restored vision to make your way forward without incident. Turn a corner and are met with a shaft of light that is broken up by the slow and lazy rotation of an overhead fan. Finally, as you continue towards the light, you also see that your singular path is now divided with new routes branching off in different directions, albeit with no indication of where they might head. Oh boy. Where did these go? It's possible if I were paying attention to like some signs in the ship, I might know where these go. Those seem like they could be the hangar. That could be engineering. And that one... maybe the crew quarters? As you come level with the crawlway that branches off to your left, you notice almost imperceptible sounds echoing off in the distance. You hold your breath and angle your ear towards the darkness that they come from and focus, trying to identify them. It takes you some time to be able to distinguish the faint sounds properly from the general thrum of the Gundog systems, but as you concentrate, you can make out the whir of motors, sound of metal colliding with metal and tools being used. Okay, so this might be engineering. It's too quiet to be engineering. That must mean this way leads to... but probably the hangar then, I guess, right? You peer down the crawlway that stretches out in front of you. Oh, it could be the armory, actually. That could be the armory. Like, we're still hearing the sounds of engineering. You peer down the crawlway that stretches out in front of you and do your best to make out anything that might indicate where it leads to. Despite your best efforts, all you can make out is pure darkness. There's no movement of air, sound, or smell that could indicate where it leads. As ominous as it seems, you know you can't ignore it. You have to take every opportunity if you're going to free Cassie. As you approach the crawlway that stretches out ahead of you, your nose twitches. The entire time you'd been crawling away from your quarters, all you'd smelt had been a stale musk. Not unpleasant, but a clear indicator that these crawlways were not used regularly, and certainly weren't as well ventilated as the rest of the ship. Now though, you could pick up on a slight hint of something new, but also familiar. You pause to sniff the air, trying to identify the light hints of fragrance that drift your way. Taking in a few deep breaths, you pick up notes of something sweet, but also with a slight burning tang, topped off by a chemical tinge. I think I know where this leads. As you twist to change your position in order to examine one of the new crawlways you found, you lay your hand on the wall and notice a slight but constant vibration. Running your hand along the paneling, you feel the occasional pulse of a more powerful, regular vibration. There's only one thing on this ship that creates a vibration like that. That's probably where this crawlway leads. Alright, so I'm going to go to the armory first, see if I can get myself a stun weapon. Enter the crawlway? Yes. Moving away from the illuminated nexus between the various crawlways, you follow another twisting path of identical, indistinguishable tunnels, and it doesn't take long for you to find yourself in total darkness once again. Unlike your journey from your quarters to the lit segment you'd just taken a break at, you were confident of where you were heading as the previously muffled sounds were growing louder with every corner you turned. The erratic noises of different pieces of machinery and equipment punctuate your journey with their irregular rhythm. Unlike the constant background noises of the engineering department, this was the sound of someone hard at work. As you continue to move through the twisting shaft, you notice a strange sense of lightness to your movements, which you initially dismiss as numbness from the time spent hunched over and crawling. I suppose it could be the hangar as well, right? It isn't until you push against the floor with one leg and inadvertently send yourself gently gliding forwards that you realize you're leaving the area under the influence of the ship's gravity map. Okay, so what's the hangar? Hangar's fine. Hopefully Dalton doesn't give us away or anything, but I think he's going to be on our side. You hold your arms out in front of you to ensure you don't slam face first into the end of the current length of tunnel. Thankful that you haven't pushed with much force when you feel cool steel on your palms. Feeling around to determine the direction you'd been heading in next, you eventually identify a turn to the right and carefully propel yourself off the crawlway wall. Soon enough, you manage to adapt to this method of movement, propelling yourself by pushing off the tunnel walls or pulling yourself along the occasional pipe or protrusion. Eventually you turn a corner, and for the first time since you'd started down this path, you can see the faint glow of light. Moving towards it, you realize that it's the outline of a hatch built into one of the walls. Now the sounds are almost as loud as if you were in the room with the machinery. You can clearly make out the dull thrum of a gantry crane moving from one end of the rail to the other, interrupted by the regular sound of an impact driver. Once you make your way over to the hatch, you grasp its faintly illuminated handle and twist. As you feel the mechanism disengage, you slowly push it open and peer through the gap. As you'd expected, the noises had guided you to the hangar, which you take your time to carefully survey, looking out for Hansen, Haru, or any other member of the crew that you didn't want to run into. Aside from Dalton, who was hard at work on Hansen's Juno and completely unaware of your presence, you don't see anyone. Alright, let's go. We can go back to the crawlways if we want. At least this doesn't look like it's going anywhere. Some of that machinery looks like it's recently been used, probably to help Dalton swap out the parts on Hansen's Juno. Even in normal circumstances, I wouldn't be totally certain of what was in there that could be useful. With half of them encased in Dalton's foam and others lost to space, there's no way of knowing what we've got and what we've lost. Fortunately, there wasn't any damage to the main door when that machine crash-landed in the hangar. If there had been, the whole area would be closed off to prevent depressurization of the rest of the ship, and Dalton would be doing these repairs in a spacesuit. Looks like Dalton's made a lot of progress on the repairs for Hansen's AF. If it wasn't for a few open panels and the tools he's left nearby, I wouldn't be able to tell that there was anything wrong with it. We'd considered using some of this machinery to secure that strange machine, but with all the foam, we didn't need to. Not really a lot for me to do with it right now. Might be worth taking a look later if I really need to, but right now, I don't know what use it would be. I need Dalton's help. It's not a good idea to jettison him into space. No, it isn't. As far as I can tell, doesn't need any extra restraints. No sign that it's going anywhere or has tried to move. Kind of hard to tell though, with it covered in foam like it is. A tempting idea, but I wouldn't want to risk damaging the gun dog by doing something stupid in one of those. Alright, Dalton, let's have a chat. You perform another quick scan of the hangar to ensure that it's still just you and the cadet who are around, before kicking up a nearby wall towards Dalton. You can tell he is completely absorbed in his work, and it isn't until you lay your hand on his shoulder that he has any idea there's someone in the hangar with him. Chief, I was just finishing off the final recoupling of the new bell nozzles to the directional... Startled, Dalton swivels to face you. The look of terror on his face instantly replaced with one of pure confusion. It's you, Lieutenant. Wait! What are you doing out of your quarters? You're supposed to be locked up until we get back to Europa. They said you're a traitor. Is this a breakout? You got to take me out? It's part of your conspiracy! Oh no! Help! Help! In his panic, Dalton shoves you away from him, then turns and scrambles away using whatever purchase he can find on the armored frame's surface. Once out of your reach, he kicks off the machine. Fortunately for you, he doesn't make solid contact, his feet instead catching it at an awkward angle which sends him drifting away slowly despite his writhing and thrashing. Dalton! Shut up and get back here! You launch yourself after him and manage to grab his ankle, anchoring yourself to the front of the Juno with your free hand before he's too far away. Despite his loud protestations and best attempts to free himself, you drag the cadet back towards the Juno. No! I'm gonna be... As he continues to thrash around, it takes most of your strength to pin Dalton to the armored frame. A challenge that is made all the more difficult by the lack of gravity. Using your legs to brace yourself on a nearby safety rail, you pin him with one arm and cover his mouth with the other, making sure that he isn't going anywhere or alerting anyone. Dalton, please calm down. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to... Cadet, get a hold of yourself. I'm not here to hurt you. That's right. Just take it easy. I'm going to let go of you, okay? Just want to talk. Apprehensively, you slowly release your grip on Dalton and remove your hand from his mouth. He slumps into the microgravity remaining in place. But, Lieutenant, you shouldn't be out here. They said that you were a co-conspirator with Commander Quinn and the Captain. That you had to be... Who said that, Dalton? I mean, Captain Lord and the ensigns said... And do you really believe them? Well, that's... I mean... But she said... You sigh with exasperation, holding up both of your hands to stop Dalton before he spirals back into an anxious ramble. If I was a traitor to this ship, do you think I'd have done everything I've done to make sure everyone has stayed safe? Like getting the power back online, securing that machine? Look, I'm sorry I scared you, Cadet. It's really important. Lieutenant Lord is lying about everything. Captain Barnemus and Captain Quinn have nothing to do... Captain Barnemus and Captain Quinn have nothing to do with what's been happening. There's no way that Quinn could have killed the Doctor. That's why I'm here. I need your help to... Hey! You hear Ensign Rumney's call echo from across the hangar. Fortunately, the two of you are behind the Juno and can't be seen from the entrance. Taking advantage of this, you shove Dalton towards them, using him as a distraction as you slip into the Juno's open cockpit and out of sight. For a moment, you consider closing the hatch, But you realize there's no way Haru would miss that happening, and with Dalton floating towards them, that instantly gets suspicious. Instead, you get as far back into the cockpit as you can and freeze. Oh, jeez, kid, be careful! What were you doing floating around like that? What's with the screaming? Something happening here? Oh, I was just what? What's going on in here, huh? Holding your breath and staying as still as possible, your grip tightens onto the back of your seat. All you can do is hope that Dalton doesn't give you away. Well, it was because Kid, spit it out. Is there something wrong with the AF? Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. Nothing. It's all fine. It's just... Seriously, what have you done? Do I need to check it out? You hold your breath and grit your teeth. The sound of what you had to presume was Haru knocking on the frame's armor rings through the cockpit. It was nothing! I just got the impact driver caught on my jumpsuit, and then it started going because I accidentally hit the trigger, and everything started bunching up, and I couldn't stop it because... All right, kid, okay. Take it easy. Yes, Anson. I suppose on the plus side, the fact that he's nervous all the time actually helps him lie, because he's going to sound nervous regardless. You all good? Yes, Anson, thank you. I got it off by... Okay, cool, got it. Just stay calm next time, alright? Yes, Anson, I will. Sorry. Alright. Well, if that's it... Yes, Anson, it is. Nothing to worry about. Take it easy, kid. You remain still within the tense silence, doing your best not to move, trying as hard as you can not to even breathe. As far as you could tell, Haru had left, but you have no way of knowing for sure. Remaining motionless, you stay hidden in the cockpit until... Lieutenant? It's safe to come out now. You feel a little guilty for your paranoia, but wanting to make sure you're ready for anything, you assume Ensign Rumney is waiting in ambush and spring out of the cockpit. Fortunately, all you're met with is a still hangar and a fretful Cadet Grange. Sorry about that, Lieutenant. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. I just... Looking around to make certain that you're alone with Dalton once again, it's a few seconds before you respond. Hey, don't worry about it, Cadet. Thank you for covering for me there. No problem. But what do you want me for? Why are you here? I didn't want to believe what they said about you and the captain and the commander, but after they locked you up, I heard Ensign Cruz say that... Dalton, hey, calm down. It's okay. Sorry. You take a deep breath and close your eyes, sighing before you begin. Something about asking to get that for his help seemed wrong. Though he was working on a JCF ship, he was basically still just a kid. But you knew that he had the technical skills you needed. I'm here for your help, Dalton. I can't get control of the ship back from Lieutenant Lord, and both the captain and Commander Quinn are going to get executed as traitors. I can't do it alone. I need the help of someone who knows all the systems on the ship, and that's you. You want my help? That's right. You know your way around the ship almost as well as the Chief. You could really help me out here, Cadet. As you talk, Dalton begins to fidget with his gloves, glancing around nervously as he does. I've just got to do something over there quickly. Once again, you reach out to grab him. This time, Dalton manages to evade you. His feet firmly plant on the Juno, and he propels himself towards the opposite side of the hangar, disappearing behind some of the remaining storage crates. But Dalton... You launch yourself from the armored frame towards the far side of the hangar, stopping yourself on the first storage crate you arrive at. You quickly glance over the mess of containers, but aren't able to spot the young engineer. Quickly but quietly, you begin moving from crate to crate, looking out for any sign of the cadet amongst the disorganization. As you pass by an inconspicuous cluster of containers, you hear the rustle of a jumpsuit and the sharp intake of breath. You pause and turn your attention to some crates opposite to where you'd heard the noise come from, giving them a few seconds of fake investigation, before launching yourself towards the nook that Dalton had hidden himself in. Dalton, please calm down. I just want to talk to you, okay? Dalton! Okay. I promise, Cadet. I wouldn't be here if I didn't really need your help. But right now, with Lieutenant Lord in charge of the ship, they're all in a huge amount of danger. It's not just the commander and captain, it's all of us. We don't know what's going on with this. We gesture at the strange craft. Thing. We don't even know if it's actually deactivated. It could still be in danger. How are we going to deal with it if half our crew is locked up and the other half is on guard duty? All I need is a little bit of your help. I can prove Commander Quinn innocent, and that's one major blow to Lord's justification for this mutiny. After that, we can prove the captain innocent too. From there, no one on board will side with Lord. They'll know it'll be them up for execution as traitors. But I can't do this alone. That's why I need you. I know the Chief's taught you a lot already. With your help, I can get this done before we get anywhere near Europa. Oh, well, thank you, but Dalton? You lay your hand on his shoulder. Please. Well, Why do you want me, Lieutenant? I mean, are you sure? I'm just a cadet. I don't really know that much of anything. Are you sure it's my help you want? Like, I just mean that maybe you should think about it, is all. If that's okay. Dalton? We might have some options of who to help us. We might only be able to get one person to help us out. Do we want to continue trying with Dalton, or do we want to go for someone else? Like, I do feel like Dalton would be able to help us out. Like, I feel like he'd be able to sort of like consider going through all the options. All right. Well, we've got engineering over here. Confident that you knew where this path would lead you. You resume your journey through the ship's crawlways, steadily heading away from the light and towards more darkness. Within a mere 2 turns, you're once again enveloped in the blackness of the ship's inner workings, and you carefully shuffle forward, making sure not to let any sharp, sudden obstacles or shifts in direction catch you off guard. At first, the constant vibrations were only noticeable when you made a special effort to feel for them in the walls or floor of the crawlway. As you continue, you start to sense them passing through you. Eventually, they turn from a physical sensation to a constant noise that fills the dark tunnels. You find yourself moving in time with the rhythm that pulses through you, inching forward with each beat you feel. For every length of crawlway that you clear, the sensation grows stronger and stronger, leaving you to wonder how the engines haven't shaken the ship apart yet. Chief Cassie and the other guy. Possibly one of the doors leads to the captain as well. Now we know that Dees already gave us a screwdriver, so we know that he's on our side. So... but I'm not necessarily sure what he's able to do for us now. I feel like the engineers probably have more ability. Chief's probably got more ability than Dalton does. She also might be under watch more than Dalton is as well, since she's already got history going on with Vanessa. Yeah, I'm not sure what Cassie's going to be able to do for us, admittedly. She does seem like the best, option. I do agree with that. It's not long before you eventually turn another corner and are met with a shower of illumination. Shafts of light fall around you from the grating above, all the more visible due to the cloud of dust that you've kicked up on your travels. Moving forward and looking up through the grating, you recognize enough machinery to know that you're near the entrance to the engineering department. You tentatively test the grating above you by pushing against it with your forearm and find that it lifts away freely with no need to unfasten any screws, bolts, or fastenings. A welcome relief from the catches and clasps you've had to deal with so far. Twisting onto your back so that you can better manipulate the grating without creating any noise, you've only just begun to push it upwards when it slams back into place with a loud clang. You quickly release the grating, and with no time to swivel onto your front to crawl away, start shuffling back towards the dark crawlways. Before you get out of there, you see the soles of a pair of boots step over you, clanking against the steel grille of the flooring above you. Fancy meeting you here, Lieutenant Denacia. With a terrifyingly effortless ease, the chief squats down and pulls up the grating with one hand. With the other, she grabs you by the collar and yanks you out of the crawlway, roughly depositing you on the floor before replacing the grating. You got permission from the captain to be out and about? Chief, Hold that thought, Lieutenant. Come here. Taking hold of your upper arm with a grip far more powerful than you could have suspected, the chief begins to drag you away. You struggle to try to free yourself, but a combination of her raw strength and you being constantly off balance makes escape impossible. Majima everywhere, indeed, right? Chief, hey! Give me a second to explain! Chief! Chief, come on! Stopping only to swipe her keycard through a terminal next to a door, the chief continues to drag you behind her as she marches on into the newly unlocked area. Only once she's put some distance between her and the entrance does she stop, throwing you in front of her as she does. Alright, Lieutenant. We can talk now. Chief, damn it, I was trying to explain. Why do you think I brought you here, Lieutenant? The entrance to this department's wide open. I didn't want anyone catching sight of you somewhere you shouldn't be. Especially not if it gets me mixed up in this whole cluster. Impressed you even managed to find your way into the crawlways, to be honest. Don't know how you got in there, though. Access from the quarters would... As the chief's attention is pulled away from you, the hypotheticals of your escape, you assume that, given she's not raised the alarm, she isn't going to be dragging you back to your quarters or handing you over to the ensigns. Oh, someone hid this in my meal. I used it to... So that's what these wanted it for. He told me he needed it to replace the batteries on his cassette player. I told him to bring it to me, and that I could install some extra long-life military-issue ones. Never seen that guy so insistent about anything the entire time I've known him, though. Just handed it over in the end. Thought it was strange. No way would he pass up a chance to extend his player's lifespan. Should have known he was planning something. Probably has no idea how screwed he is if he gets found out. Chief, listen. Take it easy, Lieutenant. I'm not going to throw you in front of the new captain or her goons. Honestly, I admire the guts you've got making it this far. You got a brain to go with them, though? What's your plan? Going to try and raid the armory? Take the ship back by force? Or try to sabotage it? Buy yourself some time? Because you listen to me, Lieutenant. I swear to God, if you screw with anything in here, I don't care if it's to deal with Chief, I'm not going to mess with anything, I promise. Good to know. I've got a job here. That's to keep this ship running. No matter who's at the helm, you get between me and the smooth operation of this vessel. Lord's punishment won't be half as creative as mine. Well, Lieutenant, what's your plan? Barnaby's and Quinn are locked up. Lord's taking control of the ship. The crew's not got enough skin in the game to push back. Let's hear it. You take a second to assess the chief's demeanor. You could see she was stressed out by the situation, but from what you made of her, she wasn't the sort of person who'd hand you over to Vanessa as soon as you were done explaining your plan. Alright, well, the way I figure, everyone's only going along with Lord because they've got more to lose than gain if they stick up with the captain. I was saving to nuke the stream one day. Lovely. Her accusations, they kind of stack up, if you don't look too closely. Both Captain Bartolmews and Commander Quinn were out of action when the Gundog went offline, and Quinn is the immediate suspect in the Doctor's murder. But I know there's no way Quinn could have done it. There's no way he should have done any of it. And if the Captain wasn't around, I don't think that was on purpose. Not with how I saw her. We can disprove those accusations with evidence. We can show the rest of the crew it'll be them getting charged as traitors due to this mutiny. Once we do that, they'll side with us over Vanessa easily. Even the ensigns have more sense than to stick with her. Well, you might have a point there. As it is, Lord taking command could be seen by the JCF as a reasonable course of action, given what her actions are based on. How do you plan on proving her wrong, Lieutenant? You're going to need some good evidence to undermine her arguments. Well, you thought the broad strokes of the plan through, but you hadn't really had the time to consider the specifics. You've been too focused on navigating your way around the ship and finding out where you could access. Was hoping that I'd be able to get some help with that one, Chief. From you. Nice try, Lieutenant. That's not happening. Sorry to burst your bubble there. There's no chance I'm gonna get wrapped up in Lord's games. You want help? You're gonna need someone else. Right now, I gotta make sure these engines keep ticking over. If I'm lucky, I can take the chance to get the long-range communication system back up and running before we get to Europa Colony. Chief, wait! Without giving you a chance to even try and convince her otherwise, the Chief has already turned her back on you and is striding out of the door she dragged you through earlier. Chief! You chase after her, following her through the doorway and grabbing her by the unyielding muscle of her upper arm. Chief, wait! Just hear me out! In an instant, the Chief grabs your wrist, pulling your hand off her and angling your forearm away from you in a way that almost sends you to your feet. I told you, Lieutenant, I've got one job, making sure this ship keeps sailing. Nothing against you, nothing against what you're trying to do, but keep me out of it. These engines are still touch and go right now, so if we want to make it back to Europa, we're going to need my full attention. I don't have the time to get dragged into stupid little personal grudges or power plays. The Chief releases your wrist, which you draw back quickly. The pain from the awkward angle it had been held at shooting up through your forearm. I like Lord as much as you do. I'd love to see her get taken down a peg or two. I'd love to take her down myself. I just... With that, the Chief turns on the heels and strides away towards the engine room. You chase after her, calling out to her to give you another chance to explain, but your pleas have no effect. You're being completely ignored. Eventually, she arrives at the entrance to one of the engine rooms, and before you can stop her, steps through and closes it behind her, leaving you stuck on the opposite side. Damn it, Chief! I need your help! It's got to be something I can do to get her to listen to me. Talk to her one more time, I'm sure she'd come around. She'd probably be a lot more helpful than Dalton, that's for sure. on, let's look around first. Everything seems to be running smoothly with the machine. There's a bunch of battery packs lined up and on charge right now. Seems like it's running normally. Got a feeling the central computer is going to be important in proving the captain and Cassie innocent. Chief's in there. If I've got any hope of convincing her to help me out, I need to get in. But though it's almost redundant given how noisy all the nearby machinery is, not to mention the constant background hum of the engines, you approach the door quietly. Still smug at how Vanessa had handed you the means to get around your imprisonment, you swipe the card through the terminal next to the door and step into the engine room. So just leaving me with Cassie's card, I guess. Despite the vast size of this area, it doesn't take you long to spot the Chief, who stood over a large control panel. Alright, let's try it again. Normally I'd be glad to see this thing back up and running, but considering that right now it's bringing me closer and closer to the firing squad, can't say I'm happy. The Chief's at the control panel right now. I'll have to shut the engine down to buy some time. I think she'd kill me if I did. You've been surprised at how quickly the Chief had dismissed you when you'd asked for help. Though you'd assumed she might take a little bit of convincing, you weren't ready for her to completely reject your request like that. As you approach her, you take a few deep breaths, slowing your breathing as you feel your apprehension grow. You knew by how forceful her rejection had been that this wouldn't be easy. At the same time, you also knew that you needed to at least try and convince her to help you. Without the Chief's assistance carrying out, your plan would be much more difficult. Nearing the control panel that she's stood at, you let out one final long exhalation and draw yourself up to your full height. You attempt at appearing confident, more in order to convince yourself than the Chief. Spatial distribution of the neural flux shows reaction rates within parameters. Now, that should mean energy release is... Chief, please, I really need you to hear me out. Should mean energy release is... For a moment you consider reaching out to turn her towards you. You know better than to try to assert yourself physically with the Chief. Instead, you bring yourself closer than you're comfortable with and raise your voice. Chief, I know what you said, but please, I need your help. Lieutenant, I told you that I need to keep an eye on these engines. How'd you even get in here? Crews not take your keycard? Got to give you points for tenacity. I don't think there's any ducts or crawlways leading here since... Chief, that doesn't matter right now. I know you don't want to get mixed up in this, but I need your help. I know what I need to do, but I can't do it alone. I need you, Chief. The Chief lets out a loud sigh that clearly communicates her exasperation at your persistence. You clench your teeth and take a deep breath before continuing. You push your luck too far, you know that at the very least you'll probably get physically thrown out of the room and the lock will be manually overridden. At the same time, you're aware of how this isn't something you can simply give up on out of fear of upsetting someone. You're damn right I don't want to get involved, Lieutenant. I've got a ship to get back to Europa, and it doesn't matter who's on the bridge when it gets there, just that it gets there. Now, whatever's happened to these engines during that blackout isn't making that job easy. For the last time, Denasia, get out of my way and do what you got to do, but leave me out of it. Or do I need to get you out of the way myself? The single step, the Chief is right in front of you, looming over you, her bulk filling your field of vision. You instinctively go to take a step back, but stop just before you do, mustering all of your confidence to stand your ground against the Chief's imposing physicality. Squaring your shoulders and widening your stance, you do your best to assert yourself. Chief, I want to get the Gundog back to Europa just as much as you do. But you know it's not about the ship. It's about the people on board. What good is getting us all back to Europa if half the crew is going to be put on trial for something that they didn't do? What's the point in making sure the engines are working if the ship could be ripped apart by some enemy machine just because our pilots are playing security guard and there's no one to stop it? You don't look after this ship for its own sake. You look after the ship because of the crew, Chief. You know that. For a moment you feel a flutter of relief within your chest, but you focus, not wanting to get too far ahead of yourself. Looks like the Chief is coming around to you, but you're not convinced her yet. I know that you've got important work to do right here, but if we don't deal with Vanessa now, we can't guarantee that there'll even be a gun dog to get back to Europa. Besides, we all know your work is so good that these engines won't go offline if you leave them for a few hours. You'd have made sure of that. If I had better options, I wouldn't be asking you, Chief, but I need you, please. You're telling me you're doing this for everyone on this ship, Lieutenant? Not just you and Quinn? That's right, Chief. Obviously Commander Quinn's important to me, but I'm the ship's security officer. It's my job to make sure everyone stays safe. I can't let them down like this. I can't. The Chief inhales through closed teeth and furrows her brow. Everything's stable right now. No sign of unusual output. I could... Why do this now, Lieutenant? If you think Quinn and the Captain can be proved innocent, why don't you just wait till we get back to Europa? Bring it up at the tribunal. The Chief raises a good point. Your intent was to prove Cassie, the Captain, and yourself innocent. By rights, the tribunal that would investigate this mutiny would be the perfect place for that. But you knew it wouldn't be so simple. I get what you're saying, Chief. But Vanessa would have thought of that already. Wouldn't have done this if she didn't think that she'd get away with it. Oh shit, we're going a little bit overtime, aren't we? It'd be like that time on the bridge earlier. You know that her story won't line up with what happened, and I bet you that she'll have adjusted the reports to support her case. That's why I need to find this evidence now. Even if I can't convince the rest of the crew to get Bartholomew's back in the captain's seat, at least I'll have something I can use at the tribunal. The longer we wait, the more chance that evidence gets adjusted or deleted. Seeing the Chief taking her time to consider your points, you know you're onto something. Even if she doesn't, do you think they'll listen to someone who's been set up as a traitor? If Vanessa's story even seems like it holds water, they'll probably just write me off. But we don't need to let it get that far. I'm sure if we can show the rest of the crew that Vanessa's story will fall apart as soon as we get to Europa, they'll refuse to serve under her. Even Hansen and Haru won't stand up for her if they know it'll be their necks on the line. With everyone on side, we'll stand a chance if that thing reactivates. Otherwise we might never make it back. You make some good points, Lieutenant. The elation you feel at that response almost makes you giddy, a feeling you temper with pragmatism. Can't be sure you've convinced the Chief yet. But are you sure you want to be doing this? What? Of course! I need to! You're locked up now. No one's going to blame security for standing up for their captain, especially after everything you've done. You certain you want to be sticking your neck out like this? I wouldn't be here if I wasn't, Chief. Might feel that way now, Denasia. That way for a second. Give it some thought. Sometimes, when you're trying to fix something, the real solution isn't obvious till you take some time to think it over. Might be other options, you know? I want you to make sure you're serious about doing this, Lieutenant. You're serious. You know that. Part of you wants you to tell the Chief that here and now. But at the same time, you know that you don't want to risk pushing her too far. You've almost won her over, and if you look like you haven't thought this through, you might undo all that you've done to convince her. You breathe out and let your shoulders drop, letting some of the tension that you built up leave your body. Yeah. Okay, Chief. I'll make sure this is what I want to do. Thanks for hearing me out. No sweat, Lieutenant. Seems like your heart's in the right place. Just need to make sure your head is too. Without hesitation, the Chief turns back to the control panel that she'd been working at and resumes whatever it is that she'd been doing before you'd interrupted her. Maybe there were other options, but could any of them be as good as getting the Chief to help you out? You'd have to give that some thought. Alright, so we're going to save the game here, and sadly, we are going to wrap up for the night. We will investigate our other options, certainly, when we come back to Gundog, which will be next week. But so far, the Chief does look like a good contender for our best person to go to. So, we'll pause the game here. And yeah, wrap up for the night. Hopefully that's something that everyone enjoyed. Now, obviously, I do urge people to play the game themselves, because I feel like we're coming into the end game right now. And maybe you want to avoid spoilers, for example. Play the game on your own, all that sort of stuff. I do urge people to do this, by the way, especially for something like a visual novel. Now, tomorrow, we are going to be playing some more Metaphor Refantasio. Hold on, let me just double check I haven't gotten any messages. Okay, no, work hasn't contacted me to tell me that they want me in, so Metaphor sounds like a good option. So that will be at 1 p.m. My time, AEDT, and Thursday and Friday will be Linda's company as we do the Sweepers event. The weekend I'm going to have off because I'm going to a mega game on Saturday, and Sunday I might be doing a tabletop stream with Etten. So we'll see how things go. But yeah, that's what the rest of the week looks like. Now, we are going to go and raid somebody now, and I'm thinking that we go and raid Yuri Hart, who is playing some Star Trek Resurgence. A game that I played on stream before, actually, that I particularly enjoyed. So let's go over there and see if she's made some any different choices to me or anything like that, shall we? Alrighty then. So, thank you very much as always, and I hope to see you all next time, okay? See ya!